I've been trying to answer TFT's most asked question, what is the difference between every rank in TFT? And we're going to do it the hard way. This set, we've been reviewing games from all sorts of ranks. In this video, we are going to be covering silver all the way to master. So if you are somewhere in between those ranks, or maybe you're even a little bit higher and just want to see some VOD reviews to see what it's like to be at that level, this is going to be the video for you, because we are going to be going over what makes a silver player, what makes a diamond player, and so on and so forth. If you're someone at those ranks, or if you're just trying to improve at TFT in general, we're going to be doing a lot of instructive review for each and every one of these games, and also summarizing the major mistakes that each player is making at that rating. But grab your favorite snack, because this is a 3-hour video. Lean back a little bit. If you do have questions, leave them down in the comments with a timestamp, and let's just enjoy the ride. We're going to be starting out with the silver game. Caitlyn grants you gold every stage. It's the same as gold subscription of the past that people played in previous sets. And keep in mind, when you are playing TFT, as the set goes on and on, the ranks become easier and easier to get because people normally climb upwards. So we did this video series a couple of weeks ago where we did unranked to diamond. So this time we're doing silver to masters. So I expect the skill level to be around the same in terms of like the scalingness, like maybe diamond players from before are now master, platinum players from before are now diamond, things like that. So that's why we're kind of doing it in this way. But the reason why that happens is because like people have more time to play more games, and also people kind of just get settled into their natural rating a little bit once the set goes on. So we're going to be looking at silver, though. It's kind of like the players who maybe don't play as much as some of the other players, but maybe they're not following like every single guide or whatever. They're probably just, trying to learn the fundamentals of TFT, so we're going to see how that kind of goes. So I definitely buy all the units in the shop here. We got 2-star Maddie, and we have a pair of Stebs, so our early game is pretty set already. Like, we got 2 synergistic units. We could go into attack damage builds with the Maddie as our item holder, so we could go into snipers or Corki. Both the options are good. We have a tank item holder in the Steb. We got a Trundle to pair up with it for bruisers. Really good start. I would have held on to the Tristana because we had a pair of Tristanas. We easily could have gone Tristana reroll with Sentinels perhaps, but I do want to make interest, but we don't know if gold is dropping on this round. So it does, but I would have waited for it to actually happen rather than, sell one of them, sell one of them, sell one of them. No. Okay, they're thinking about it, but took a little too long. Training Arc, no, we're not playing Pit Fighters. Inspiring Epitaph, not good in the early game because it's a combat augment. 2-trick, we already have a bunch of upgrades, so I don't think 2-trick is actually that necessary. I'd probably re-roll right, and if it's garbage, I'd take Spear's Will. But yeah, definitely re-roll Epitaph right now. Beautiful. Crown's Will, nope. Yep, take the sword. We're going some sort of AD comp. Perfect stuff. All right, so we get some gold from gold subscription, but we lost 1 gold already, unfortunately, because we didn't make interest last round. And one theme I noticed from all the games from the previous coaching sessions that we did was going to be a lot of players are just missing gold. So when we watch like one of the pro players play, like they always have enough gold to roll down with and they hit, right? And people are like, oh, like they just hit, I didn't. But the reality is that they literally have more gold than you. So the reason why they have that is because you're making mistakes in the early game and they are not. And the 1 gold here and there definitely adds up, because the earlier you have gold, the more valuable it is. So you need to really make sure you try not to miss out on some of that gold, because one of the replays we looked at in the past, we calculated that one player was missing 40 gold on their fast 8 roll down, which obviously is a lot, right? It's the difference between having a 20 gold roll down and a 60 gold roll down, which is humongous, right? You're probably going to hit a bunch of stuff with 60 gold, not going to hit that much stuff with 20 gold. So got to keep that in mind. So in the early game, you always got to decide, should I level up or should I stay the same level? If you're going to win streak, you want to level up. If not, you want to stay the same level and just econ. This player chose to stay the same level, which I think is fine. They do have an upgraded unit, but they don't have any items to slam. So it's not the best scenario. You could get away with leveling up because it's still an okay board, but I personally wouldn't. But it's not a game-breaking decision if you did decide to level up there. But I would have personally not leveled up. because I don't have any items to build, and my extra unit that I put in wouldn't help my team that much. If I had maybe like a Zeri on my bench, yeah, sure, level up, put in the Zeri, get 2 sniper, 2 bruiser. Nothing wrong with that because you have tank synergies and a damage synergy. So it's all as well in balance in the world of TFT. Whenever you are playing TFT, you need to balance everything. I believe I have said this before, but it's super important to do because even though I say something, people don't always listen, and then I see the same mistakes over and over. So I do wonder, maybe we should start like a bingo card for all these videos that we do. Like, are people going to make the same exact mistakes that I've seen in all the other videos? My guess is we're going to see a lot of them, maybe some new ones. I'm hoping for some new ones so we could cover some other stuff. But granted, everyone who's watching this definitely watched the previous video all the way through, right? So none of the players who are submitting games, since they probably watched those two, are going to be making the same mistakes that I mentioned in the past. So that's my hope. Let's see what they have here. They have an interesting, okay. Yeah, put in scrap, sure. Nothing against that. I'd probably sell the Smeech, and I'd also probably put my powder in the second row. That way her cast animation gets there a little quicker. A lot of people sometimes even front row her, but I only do that if I have her as a 2-star unit. As a 1-star, I don't think she's that tanky, so she'll just get melted at the start. So second row, I think, is a good balance. But yeah, we were not winning this round. This person has too many upgraded units, and they're level 5 on stage 2-3, so they're going to have low money this game, but they are going like conquerors, so that's why they did that. They want to win a lot in the early game. I actually am impressed already by some of the other players in this silver game, because I think they're doing pretty solidly. That's like a thing that a lot of conqueror players generally do. They play pretty aggressively because you need to win every round. I think they would have won had they faced us regardless, but maybe there was a different board that they scouted that they needed the level up for. On that topic of like, should I Giga level up if I want a super win streak? The answer is going to depend. You need to scout always. Some games, if you know how to judge board strengths correctly, you'll know that you'll beat them no matter what. And in those cases, you do not level up. You save the interest instead. But there are other times you're like, this fight's looking a little close. Let me level up here just in case. And yeah, definitely do that. But yeah, perfect item we got from this carousel here. We got the Infinity Edge. That's going to be a best in slot for all the attack damage units. So that's going to be like Corki. That's going to be Twitch. We're probably going to be playing one of those this game based on what we're seeing so far. And those are going to be 2 of the more powerful comps in terms of AD units in the meta right now. I'd personally sell this Blitzcrank, pick up the Urgot, just in case I get some Artillerist mid-game, or maybe I even just play Urgot eventually. Like, it could be a possibility, right? I could play Tristana Urgot, build like Asterix, IE on Tristana, and we'll be good to go from there. Also, in Experiment, he fits too, so no reason to hold the Blitzcrank over the Urgot. Slight mistake, not going to cost you the game, but things definitely do add up. We actually beat a Renata 2 here. That's nuts. I guess they're level 4 also, and pretty nice. Next round, we get nothing from the shop. Okay, I mean, we could keep the Zyra for the same reasons we talked about before, but she's not as good as the Urgot. Person we're facing next is going to be a Morgana, like Visionary Sentinel player. Yeah, there's like a Morgana reroll comp going around right now. It's pretty solid. You need good items for it though, but blue buff probably going to be preferred, and then like some good frontline items. That's really all you need for it, but we might be able to win this because IE Maddie goes pretty hard. I think she could 1v2 this. Yeah, get the cast off. Oh, so close. If she got the full cast, I think the Morgana would have died, but just missed there. So 3 and 2 in the early game. Pretty good for not leveling up. Typically, when you face weaker players, like in silver, no offense, the players are weaker than people in higher ratings. Like, it's just logical that it happens that way, right? It's hard to do lose streak openers because even if you try to lose streak, someone's gonna have like some really weak board that they thought was strong that you're just gonna beat randomly. So it's hard to lose streak in the early game in silver. So I generally tend to go for win streaks, but had I been playing for serious on this person's account, I probably would not have leveled up in the early game as this player did. But we get a bunch of interesting items here. We could build a Last Whisper. We could build some tank items. Maybe like a Sunfire Cape. We also have 2 Reforgers, so that could be pretty much anything. But yeah, I'd probably build Last Whisper, save the sword for something else. I can't really fault that. Ooh, Mbessa. We could use Mbessa as an item holder. If we get the Betrayal augment, we could just play that right now. So I'd pick up the Mbessa and the Maddie, and for sure, like, pray I get that augment in the next round. But yeah, level up, level 6. Yeah, not bad. Play the Mbessa. We can... Okay, Thieves Club. Okay, not bad. I would have went Last Whisper, but we can cook with this. We can definitely go for the Mbessa or like the Emissary Corki comp with this. We have a pretty solid start for it. We got some good tank items. We got a Corki item, and then Mbessa has all her items already with the Thieves Gloves. Like, sometimes you want to build like the full melee frontline build with like Starax, Bloodthirster, Titans, things like that. But honestly, putting Thieves on Mbessa is like highly underrated. I think more people should do it, because like Vi also uses the same item, so this comp just uses a lot of items. But I would pick up this Maddie here just in case we get Betrayal in the next shop. Yeah, you could put the sword on Maddie. That works out well too. But I wonder what comp they're going to end up playing, because just because I have a direction doesn't mean they do. They look like they want to aim towards Twitch. Okay, climb the ladder, back up, team building. Not team building. We're not re-rolling. Back up. You probably don't want that if you're playing around Mbessa, right? Like, I don't want to move her too far back. I mean, you could still do it. Eye for an eye. Probably not. We're winning too many rounds. I'd probably do backup here. Like, re-roll, climb the ladder, and then probably take backup. Okay. If you're going... Okay. So if I was going sniper, I would not take glass cannon. If I was going something like Corki, I would. But they opted for climb the ladder. I normally only take this in vertical comps, which are team comps which go really deep into one trait. That way everyone kind of shares a trait with everyone else, and then you get good value from it. So I probably would have taken the other augment from before. Maybe like the back row augment, and then just put my Mbessa on the third row. So again, I wonder... Okay, it looks like they're just going experiments. Oh, they're going Bruiser Twitch. Yeah, that's fine. You could do Bruiser Twitch. It is a little risky to do, because right now, in terms of items... Actually, no, we have a bow, so we could build a Rage Blade. Yeah, you could do this. It's nothing that bad, but I would pick up the Urgot just in case you can flex between experiments and the Bruiser build. I wouldn't just go hard into Bruisers because I started the game with the Steb. But in Silver, you could get away with these mistakes because other players, like, they're also Silver, so they're going to be making a ton of mistakes too. And you don't have to be familiar with every single comp in Silver. Like, yeah, it definitely helps. It also helps if I had $10 million in my bank account. That'd make me play better TFT too. But I don't, so it's okay, right? Because I'm just like a person. I don't need that much. But what I do like from this player so far is that even though the direction isn't what I would have taken or isn't the best, they still have a direction and they're sticking pretty hard to it, not deviating too much. Ever heard of the phrase too many chefs in the kitchen, like, or having like too many people steering the boat, not enough people rowing the boat? It's better to have like one captain and one game plan and just execute it, even if it's not the best. So that's what this person's doing pretty well. And they're doing an extra bonus points because they're playing around the Mbessa, the random units that they hit in their shop, and just using it as like a item holder or like something to get them through the mid game. I like that a lot because I find that a lot of players below Diamond don't do this at all. They just don't even look at their shops if it's not a unit that they care about, and they just never deviate from that for the rest of the game. And I think that's like a trap that a lot of players fall into. I don't really fault them for it because it's hard, right? Like, TFT is a difficult game if you don't know all the units, what can fit with what, all these random different unit combos that you wouldn't really think of normally. And over time, you develop that into your like brain bank that you could like whip out at any time. Here, I'd take the bow. Probably go for a Last Whisper or maybe like a red buff or something like that. But they opt for a chain vest. What are they going to build with that? Oh, a stone plate. Yeah, you could build stone plate. I would have went more for the offensive item because those components are harder to come by. But it's not like, yeah, this isn't too bad. I'd probably level up here. We are, oh, whoa. We just rolled. Okay, I saw this mistake before at this rating. Do not roll for fun. Okay, so here, I'll tell you situations to roll in stage 3. So on stage 3-2, if you level up to level 6 and you have a lot of pairs on your bench, you could roll a couple of times. On stage 3-5, if you go to level 7 and have a lot of pairs, you could roll, and that'd be fine. If you are win streaking a lot in stage 2, on stage 3-1, you could roll a little bit at level 6. Those are the only times you should roll in stage 3 for like 99.99% of games. I think this roll down would be a lot better if he was level 7 with like a little bit more gold. I would not have personally done it, but hey, they hit their units, so they did have a bunch of pairs, I believe. So it's not that bad, but I would have maybe looked to do something else. Like, it wasn't as egregious as other rolls that we've seen in the past, but it wasn't great either, you know? All right, so what are they doing? What are they cooking up right now? I'd probably play the 4 Bruiser, take out Powder, put in the set. I'd probably keep the Mbessa in for now. I think she's such a good unit at this stage in the game. She really does like dominate a lot of stuff, even without any synergies. I don't know why. It's just kind of what she does. But her items right now aren't the best, so we probably could have replaced it. So we could have sold the Mbessa, played the set, but I would definitely look into playing the Emissary Corki build from this spot here. Like, I know this person's going Bruisers, but if that were the case, I'd probably pick up Zeri, right? Get a sniper in. We could play 2 sniper instead of some of the other nonsense we're running. So we easily could have went like 4 Bruiser, 2 sniper, and probably just called it a day, right? That would have been a pretty good build, but we would have lost this round anyways, so it doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things. Are they going Chem Baron and they have Darius 3-star? I'm so confused. Okay. A little strange. So I think the Conqueror player knows what they're doing. They're probably not actually a silver player, but this Chem Baron player definitely in the rating where they should be. No flame intended. Yeah, let's level up here. We could probably sell the Loris. We're probably not playing Loris, right? Because we are going for Bruisers. Yeah, just Hard Force, Bruiser, Twitch, sure. It is playable without the emblem. It's just a lot better with the emblem. But let's see what they get from the Wolf Camp. I'd probably go for a different comp, though. It's not... We don't have anything, like, insane for that build. But we do have, like, a decent start for it. Okay, we get a bunch of Gangplanks. You could go Scrap from here, too. Scrap's a good build right now, but you don't have to do it. Just because a comp's meta doesn't mean you have to play it every time. Definitely level up here to level 7 at least. We missed a shop because we were still level 6, so we got like a lower level shop than what we should have gotten. So that's another like minor detail. Not the end of the world, but something you should pay attention to eventually. What are they trying to do? Okay, so they got a bunch of items. I'd build the Redemption. Belt on Gangplank, fine. Yeah, that's good. Get some scrap value. I wonder what else they're going to build. We have to wait to see the next augment. I think they're waiting for that to really commit to something and then do something on the roll down. Wow, they killed the Mordekaiser. That's impressive. Normally, Mordekaiser at this stage in the game actually does a lot of carrying, even without like perfect builds, because a lot of people don't deal enough damage to him before he like activates his ability and then life steals everything back up. But actually was able to kill him here, so that's pretty good. Maddie's gonna clean up the back line. Very nice stuff. This augment is gonna be critical, but we don't have anything really that tailored. If we get Bruiser Emblem, that'd be great. Little Buddy's not bad. Tomb Raider, a little risky. I don't like this one that much. They buffed Tomb Raider 2, but Tomb Raider 1, they left the same. Blazing Soul is more for like AP attack speed comp, so we probably want to reroll that one. I know a lot of players would reroll Little Buddies because they don't know how to use it, but we get lucky. We get Bruiser Crest here, but I highly encourage people to try playing around with Little Buddies. You really only need like 2 buddies. You prefer maybe like 3 buddies, but you could get away with only 2. It's still a good augment. Just because you get a lot of value on like your 4 and 5 cost units, and also if you run deep into a trait, you have to play those 1 and 2 cost units anyways. But rerolling it ended up being really nice because they got Bruiser Emblem, and that's the best thing to ever ask for in this comp. So I would have rolled down to at least like 30, see what I hit, and then further if I hit something good. But here we want to save up Rage Blade for Twitch. I'd probably build the Death Blade though. Yeah, okay, perfect. They knew exactly what I was talking about. And then yeah, save the bow for a rod and build a Rage Blade. This tier could build a Redemption. Redemption's a very good item on Mundo, or like on anyone in Bruisers, because you have so much health and it's based on missing health, so you end up healing like a ton with Redemption. It's just good in any comp that has like a lot of frontliners, to be honest, and this comp definitely does have that, because then you get a lot of value from Redemption. So this player is in a very, very good spot right now. They just need to hit the key units, which is Twitch, Mundo. That's really all you care about, and I would, yeah, definitely roll down here. Mundo, great, perfect. Replace a Gangplank. Yeah, just sell a Gangplank. It's okay. Like, you could play Gangplank in this comp because he's Form Swapper and he's Scrap, but you don't have to. I would not have put the belt on. Actually, you can. Okay, Redemption. Okay, you could pass on it. So, if I were playing on my account, I would definitely build Redemption here, but if you're playing at lower levels, you don't need to get as strong a board as possible because other people have weaker boards. So you can kind of get away with these mistakes, but it's a good habit to kind of like play for the rating you want to be, not so much like the rating you're at right now. And again, when you're running 6 Bruisers or like 6 Sentinels, 6 Watcher, like anything that has more than 5 tanks, you want to be having a Redemption just because the item gives a lot of value to your team. I know Warmogs is a fantastic item on Mundo. He's probably going for a Warmogs on this carousel. Well, actually, he shouldn't. He should go for a Rod here. But let's say the Rods get taken. He probably is going to go for a Warmogs, and that's going to be a very good item for Mundo. But you don't have that yet, and you don't want to like use up your carousel pick for that necessarily. So just like build the other items. It's like a fantastic item anyways. All right, get the Rod on Kog'Maw, good. Gonna build the Rage Blade. And then, like, see what I mean here? Like, we're gonna have the belt and tier being unbuilt for, like, a couple rounds when we could have gotten a lot of value from it. Maybe they end up winning all these rounds anyways, who knows? Like, we can't predict what happens in TFT, but it's just, like, missing out on free value, which I don't really like. But this Maddie's absolutely jacked right now. Oh my god, we got a Twitch. We got the Experiment. Yep, sell it right away. We got a Zeri in shop, so we could play that. You actually could have item removed the Maddie, but I think selling it is fine too. But I'd play Zeri over this Mbessa for sure. You don't need Mbessa anymore. She like did her job already. Whoa, no, we need Sniper. We need Sniper. Please get the Zeri. That's why I was thinking item remove the Maddie, even though we don't have many left. But oh no. Okay, we're just gonna play Twitch without Sniper. It's okay. It's just like inexperience with the comp. I can't harp on like silver players too much because, I mean, mistakes are bound to happen, right? Like we'd all be Giga Challenger if we played perfectly, but obviously none of us do. So they're still gonna do pretty well this game. What do you guys think he's gonna place in this match? I guess it depends on the anomaly choice here. Okay, for every... Nope, don't really need that. Don't really need that. I like going for tank anomaly on Mundo, but getting a Twitch one isn't bad either. But I feel like there are better things to take than these. I mean, this one is okay. If he takes it, I don't fault it too much. They might have been listening to my advice before of like, when you're playing a 4-cost comp, don't be greedy on the anomaly, which is true. But I feel like that one's not good enough. I mean, it is useful, but there are definitely better things to go for. But yeah, we need to get rid of this Mbessa. I think because Mbessa carried so hard in the mid game, this person's thinking like, yeah, I could keep it, right? But nope, want to get rid of it, get the Sniper bonus activated, and just go from there. Nothing too complicated. Also, yeah, second row the Mbessa. You don't want her in the front. You have so many frontliners. You don't need her. We're building in now? Okay, I was about to say, like, since we wasted 5 rounds of not having Redemption up, we might as well just wait until the neutral round. But we built it, so unfortunate. I'd rather... I think the mistake of not playing snipers is bigger. But yeah, building this isn't the end of the world, because like I did say we should before, but we just waited so long that we just lost a lot of value from it. That's all. Because the whole point of slamming items is so that you get more use out of them. It's not necessarily because like, oh, I should always slam items, if that made any sense. But they win this round, which is good. 64 life. They're probably going to do pretty well this game. They have para twitches, only one mundo, so probably going to do a roll down, stay level 8, find your twitch and mundo 2-star. And okay, good, they're rolling. Oh, Elise, oh no. Oh no, they're playing Bruiser, but they skipped Elise, the best Bruiser. Okay. I would have replaced Trundle with the Elise. Elise is good because she gets a big stun off. But off this neutral round, we get a belt, so we would have had Warmogs. That's so unfortunate. Warmogs on Bruisers is really funny because you just get so much health. Oh no, I thought he finally realized that we need Zeri, and then they sell it. Oh no. Okay. I'll try to relax. Okay, but we have Para, Twitch, and Mundo, so I'd roll until we hit them. Keep rolling. Keep them coming. All right. Negatron. Go for an Even Shroud. What? We already have a Sunfire Cape. No. Wait, what? We're building no items. Okay, so you don't get any more item components after stage 4-7. So you want to build all the items you can at that point because, like, they're not coming for a very long time, right? You're not going to get a random component for a couple of rounds, like many rounds. So it's definitely not worth it. But you just want to build whatever you can. But Even Shroud is a perfectly good item because we don't have any armor penetration yet. So that's a great way to kind of get it. Ideally, we would not have built the Redemption before, and then we'd have Warmogs instead. And then we could use that item anvil to build like maybe an adaptive helm for Elise, but we don't even have Elise, so joke's on me, right? See, here we hit the Twitch too. You could level up here because we have our damage taken care of, and since we have 6 Bruiser, we have a strong front line. We have a decent health pool, like nothing crazy, so we could get away with going level 9, but if you want to play it safe, just roll down, hit Mundo 2, call it a day. We are also looking for Elise and also a sniper, but I just level up here just because like we have our front line pretty much taken care of. We just needed a back line, and we got that now. So even though we might lose some rounds, I think our board is like decent enough to kind of get away with it, so to speak. If we were playing Experiment instead of Bruisers, I would say we need the Mundo 2 for sure. But since we have 6 Bruiser, Mundo's not going to be dying anytime soon. So we're kind of chilling. Like, again, it goes with the whole balancing act that we talked about at the start of this video. You always want to be balancing your offense with your defense. So if I had to choose which one I get 2-starred this game, I would choose Twitch over Mundo every time. Just because he's our only damage unit. Well, I mean, we have Mbessa, but she's not, look at the damage chart. She's not really doing any damage. We just really needed that to like activate our team. All right, yeah, roll down. If you are going to roll seriously. Don't just roll like twice per turn, you know? But yeah, now that we hit that, we want to go level 9. So we could probably sell a bunch of this random stuff. Add in Caitlyn. Okay, perfect. So he does know that Sniper fits, but I just don't know why he's playing a random Mbessa. I know it gives the Emissary buff, but it's not like that good. Like, it's fine. It's decent, but it's not better than Sniper, so it's okay. They're going to put it in eventually. Okay, facing off against Elise, Black Rose, Victor. Uh-oh. LeBlanc. But this person doesn't really have the right people itemized, so I don't know what they're doing. Okay, yeah, Mordekaiser's fine to add in for a Dominator. It's not bad. It gives Mundo some scaling, and since he lives so long, like, it's not bad. And also Mordekaiser, just a very solid unit because they're a legendary. But yeah, for sure going to win this round. This person's pretty weak. They're pretty much just like have the wrong units upgraded. They have 3-star Scar for some reason in the Black Rose comp, but you don't really care about that much, so that's not that impactful. What do we want here? Probably start farming Caitlyn items. Blue buff or Shojin, pretty good for that. You could get a second pair of tank items. Not a bad idea too, but yeah, just get the blue buff here. And call it a day. Uh-oh, what are they getting? Rebel. Rebel. So we have Set, who is a rebel. We don't have anyone else who's a rebel, so I don't know how we're going to make use of this. It's a wasted item. It's okay. Like, I guess it's not okay. We're wasting 2 items now. We're wasting the belt and chain on the board when we could have went for even shroud, and then now we have a carousel pick that is I know what they're trying to do. They're going to reforge this 3 times to try to get Bruiser Emblem. Isn't that what they're doing? No, they're not. I can't. Okay. I thought that's what they're trying to do. But I wouldn't do that either. You know, I would just take the blue buff, save it for my Caitlyn, which I'm probably going to hit because we have a lot of econ. We're about to go level 9, so we have a decent chance of hitting her. And then, not that I would hit Caitlyn, but it's like a very high chance that we get her and then get a mana item on her. That's typically what people do, and then go for attack damage after that. This is a Conqueror player. They're doing really well. Didn't I say the Conqueror guy knew what he was doing? He has more 2 now. He has everything 3-star. Like, they're probably going to win the game. That is nuts. They have 420 Conqueror stacks. Yeah, that's kind of dangerous. Maybe had this person played perfectly, like the person we're watching, they could have beat the other guy eventually, maybe earlier on in the game, and then stop the snowball. But I think at this point we're playing for second, and I don't know why this bench is so full. Are they going for Mundo Twitch 3? That could be an out. Yeah, we could beat them if we get Mundo Twitch 3. Maybe just stay level 8. No, but they pre-leveled a bunch already, right? Yeah, there's sometimes or some games where you could go for the 3-star 4 costs. It could be this game. We're pretty far from it, but like, who knows? In the next couple of shops, you never know what's going to happen. Gangplank 3, Ziggs 3. Is this guy going Scrap reroll? I've never seen that before. Scrap is a very popular comp right now. I've just never seen Scrap reroll. It's pretty interesting though, right? It demolished us. Okay, very well played. So we have to wait for the Conqueror player to knock that player out, and then we could get a second. Off this neutral round, what reward did they get? Just an item, some more gold there. Pop this. It could be Last Whisper. Vow's good for Elise, but they don't realize that Elise is a bruiser. Unfortunate. Level up. Roll. Yeah, Silco's fine for Dom. It's not the best, but okay. Caitlyn, good. Twitch, go for 3-star. That's the only way to win. You always have to recognize like how to win the game, or like what your win conditions are. And it's a little tricky sometimes, but this game, it might just be 3-star 4 cost because the other player is just so strong. Like, all this Conquer stuff is like Mord 2. Mord 2 doesn't even have items yet. I don't know how he doesn't have full items yet, but he's just been win streaking the whole game as Conquerors, which is like the requirement for that comp. So he's just going to be in a really, really, really good spot. And yeah, the Mundo is like paper for some reason. That's how strong this build is if it works out. It's like a very hit or miss comp. You either get all the stacks or you don't, and unfortunately, this game they did. I would sell one of the units, get to 50 gold. Definitely roll down here. Okay, go all the way to Mord. Good. Don't replace yet. I mean, it doesn't matter that much. Focus on rolling first. Okay, yeah, sure. Roll all the way down to 0. Go, 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 go. You just have to prioritize speed over comfort. Speed over comfort. And if you hit, you hit. If you don't, you don't. It is what it is. Okay. 4 seconds. Not going to make it in time. Oh, no. The Caitlyn. I wouldn't have done anything because she doesn't have items, but it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, this Conquer build is disgusting. If it works, and it did work this time. But yeah, the major mistakes this game is forgetting what units belong in the comp. Elise is crucial, and also playing Sniper early on. I'd say overall for a silver player, pretty nice stuff. I would expect a silver player to be worse, honestly. So we're going to take out the scorecards and check out all the other players we're going to be seeing in the future. So let's get right on into the next game. Let's get into the gold game. We got Echo, so that means all augments are going to be prismatic. That means the power of this game is going to be a little higher than normal. So a lot of people say, oh, I hit everything. How come I didn't win when you put this comp as S tier? And it's a little hard to answer that question because there are a billion other factors in the game other than what your comp is or whatever your final board is. For example, if you hit your final board on the very last round instead of 10 rounds before, the results are going to be quite different. Another thing to consider is what is the general strength of your game. If it's triple prismatic, it's going to be pretty powerful. But let's see how a gold player navigates the early game. I won't spoil which comp is going to be played yet, but we have 2 Conquerors out, or 3 Conquerors on our board, 2 Dravens and a Rel. I would play both the Dravens here, probably put Rel on the bench just so you keep your pairs on the board, just in case you need to sell a 2-cost unit, because we're not in love with Rel. Rel does have 3 traits, so she's actually pretty decent, but she's a 2-cost unit, so if you want to sell her on like the off chance you get like 1 billion gold, you want to keep that option open. So just put both the Dravens in normally. It's not going to cost you the game, but it's just a good habit to get into. I pretty much mentioned this little tip every single video, and it seems like people are not doing it. So I guess this isn't something that people lower than, like, let's say Diamond kind of get in the habit of doing. So it's good just to build up the habit, because you improve one tiny little thing here, you improve one tiny little thing there, do it 100 times. How much is each mistake worth? Maybe 10 LP, 20 LP. So multiply 200 by 10 or 20. That's a lot of LP, you know. Obviously, maybe you're not making 100 mistakes, but maybe you're making like 20 or 30, and then it does become a big difference. So here we have a bunch of random units. Okay, so let's talk about the augments first. I like at what cost a lot. It is a little risky, but you generally only want to take it when you have a bunch of upgrades. Expected unexpectedness, if you want a YOLO, sure. Radiant Relics is good for reroll comps, so if you want to reroll, take that. Flurry of Blows, very good with ambushers, and Subscription Service, obviously good for cost comps. But one thing to note about Subscription Service is that you typically want to pick this when you have a bunch of gold in the early game, because these units are very expensive. Like, look, we have 11 gold, and there are 4 cost units that we could potentially buy, and because of that, you generally want to only pick this when you get a huge econ start. But here is still fine. We could still buy a lot of stuff that we want, and we get Mundo and Twitch. That should immediately scream out to you as something to consider. And yeah, we need to be buying that Mundo and then go for some Twitch comp. That's what I would do here, because I mean, if you get 2 related 4 costs, well, what else could you ask for, right? That's a dream come true. As for items, I actually would have not built this Last Whisper. I don't think it's the best item on Twitch, because the bow can be used for a Rage Blade, which is his best item, and the glove can be used for Infinity Edge, another best item. So you're kind of using 2 components that you really, really need. It is a little awkward because you do want to build something. If you force me, put a gun to my head to build something here, what would I build? I would probably build a Runons. I like it a lot because it's just like a very solid item for area of effect champions, and then you could save the glove for an Infinity Edge, and then hopefully you get the other Rage Blade part later. But when you build Last Whisper, you kill both items. I'd want to keep one of the options open at least. It's debatable. Maybe I wouldn't build any item. That's tough to say. Also, did we just sell the Mundo? Okay, so if I had to guess, this player does not like Twitch. It's okay. I think Twitch is fine. So if you decided not to play Twitch and you're playing Last Whisper and you're going like Corki or something like that, I completely understand. However, I would still hold on to the Mundo, because getting 3 experiment in the early game with Mundo and Twitch is super duper duper powerful. So you would just keep it for the early game instead of keeping the Elise or Echo or like these 1-cost units on our bench. Like, we could easily sell the Aurelia and Akali, keep the Mundo still, and be in a pretty solid spot. Because again, I'm guessing they are going for a scrap build with Corki, or maybe a Corki Heimer build, because they're holding on to some of the tanks. They're holding on to a scrap unit. They're holding on to Rebels for some reason. I'd probably sell the Akali by the Rel, just so I keep Sentinel Corki on the table, because I do not think I'm going Rebels with a Last Whisper slammed. Rebels, I know Last Whisper is good for Jinx, but it's not like super duper amazing for Jinx either. Like, any items work on Jinx really. Like, most important is probably like a Spear of Shojin, if anything. And on Jinx, like, just put whatever 3 random items you have on her. It is what it is. Meanwhile, Corki uses these items perfectly, because you want the Last Whisper. I like getting like red buff Last Whisper IE on Corki. I think that's a pretty solid like utility build with a little bit of damage. It depends what the rest of your team comp is. Like, sometimes you want to do the red buff on Corki, sometimes you don't. It depends if he's your primary carry. But if I use him as a secondary carry, like, I love the red buff on him. I think he applies it pretty decently for what he does. But again, starting from the top, keeping the Twitch and Mundo, very crucial. I know he sees that someone else is also having the Twitch and Mundo, but if you're not going the comp anyways, it doesn't matter if it's contested. You could just hold on to the units for the immediate power. That way you are able to get a better streak, hold more HP in the early game. Like, I get it. This game, I don't think we actually hit another experiment unit. We saw Zyra really early on, but that was before we saw the Mundo and the Twitch. But just because you don't hit in a certain game that we're looking doesn't mean it is incorrect to hold on to the other units. All right, so what do we want here? We have a Negatron Cloak. So if you are win streaking, which we are, you probably want to complete an item, but we are not leveled up. So we are like more econ, less board strength. So you could greed, go for a glove and go for an Infinity Edge. So that's perfectly fine. I actually like that a lot. I think some people here might have gone for a completed item, maybe a Dragon Claw, maybe a Stone Plate or something like that, which, while I think it's still a good plan, I think going for the glove is more important, going for the Infinity Edge, and here's why. Normally when you win streak, you have a bunch of upgrades, and since we're playing 4 costs, how can we upgrade a 4 cost when we're level 4? The chance of hitting a 4 cost is 0% right now. So it makes complete sense to me to go for a like perfect item rather than just completing one of the tank items right now. Again, the reason why is because I don't think we're win streaking. They're not even leveling up. Even if you did level up, you have no upgraded units, so you might be easily blown away by a different team. And yeah, this team comp looks better than us. They're both subscription service, and seems like they got a little bit of a better role. They have the Twitch Corki combo with the Urgot, and they also have Mundo. That's incredible, right? But you could also lose to a lot of other prismatic boards, such as the At What Cost people. Some people, if they get like Build-A-Bud, you'll probably lose to them. There are a lot of other prismatic augments that would demolish this board right now. This board, or this augment, is really strong on like stages 2-1 to 2-3. But come 2-5, 2-6, when people get like upgrades, sometimes people hit 2-star 2 costs. Those units are probably going to outshine some of the stuff you have unless you have some crazy synergies, because subscription service is random. So we were even lucky that we got Twitch and Mundo in the same shop. I know we don't have it anymore, but it is still a very good thing. But oftentimes you do not get that. But what I like here is this person is using the team planner, and they have a lot of preset teams from before. They probably used the website bunnymuffins.lol/meta and then clicked on the team comp image and then copied the team comp from teamfight.lol. But let's see if they know what to put on the scrap board, because they seem to not have that comp in their presets, because again, it wasn't that popular till this patch. But yeah, they get all the scrap units in. They need to add Corki and Rumble. And then after that, what are they using in as a tech unit? So personally for me, Elise I think is pretty solid. Ilaoi is good if you get Rumble for Sentinels. Jace is good if you combine it with the Elise. Lots of different stuff you can play. Some people even like doing Vi and then adding in a Loris, so that could be good. And we're actually going to have 2 scrap games in this video series, so we're going to see how the gold player navigates it, and then we'll see later on, I believe it's either diamond or master player playing scrap as well, so we'll get to see big differences between the two. Maybe there aren't any differences, you know, maybe the gold player is playing amazing and then maybe the master player is not doing so amazing, so it could be true. Maybe the gold player is the scrap one trick and then the higher up player is first timing the scrap board, so we'll have to see what the differences are there. I guess you'll just have to watch the entire video to find out, or fast forward, up to you. But let's see this neutral round. So they are spreading out some components here. I would not keep the Negatron on Elise if I do get to 4 scrap, which they do have on their bench. You don't need to play it right away though. So if you do have scrap components, you want to put it on your scrap units, but if you have a completed item, obviously put it on the Elise. Oh, maybe we should hold on to that Ezreal. The reason why is because we got a pair of them, and Ezreal is like a Corki replacement. Okay, but they hit Corki, so I guess joke's on me, right? And an Echo, and an Elise. Holy cow. All right, so yeah, redo the whole team. Buy both 4-cost units, level up. You could even play this Tristana. Whoa, Tristana's good. Wait, why are we rolling? Why are we rolling? Okay, we did not need to roll. We rolled what, twice? I'm trying to figure out what they were looking for, because I think they had all the pieces already, right? We have 6 scrap if we want on the next turn, because we have the powder and the Ziggs on bench. So I don't really know what's going on completely. So we wasted 4 gold there, and we could have picked up Tristana to get Artillerist. Urgot's also working pretty well. So in the late game, I like Tristana more. In the early to mid game, I like Urgot more. Urgot's good because he gives Pit Fighter as well to your Gangplank, and Gangplank is a crank. So we should probably pick one of these up. But yeah, the rolling before, we'll try to keep track of it. How much gold did we miss out on? I wasn't like too anal about the early game this time. So the first major mistake that I saw is this rolling thing over here. Like, there are minor mistakes in the early game, but it's not the reason why this person is gold, right? So bronze for light, pretty interesting. We could pivot if we take that. I don't like calculated enhancements for scrap because you put people in the front row. So we should probably re-roll left. Immovable object is very nice because you get a lot of armor and magic resist from immovable object, and you get a lot of shielding from scrap. So it's actually going to be a very good combo to go for immovable object. Oh no. Okay, I mean, calculated enhancements isn't bad per se, but okay, buried treasures. I like that. Getting item components for scrap units. That's actually a pretty good choice. I wouldn't have re-rolled immovable object though, because I think it's like a perfectly good augment, because it's too risky to try to look for something else. So here's a little bit awkward because we have the Elise out. I'd probably just replace the Elise, put the powder in. 6 scrap is a pretty good buff because you get lucky items. And what you can do is put like the Negatron on your Ziggs. He'll always get Adaptive Helm, which is pretty nice. You could put Belt on your Corki and Gangplank. They'll always get Guard Breaker. There are a lot of little tricks you can use. I have a full version on my website of like what components to use. And it's pretty helpful because with 6 scrap, the recommended random component does change a little bit. But here we're facing off against a double Rage Blade, Gambler's Blade, Nami. Interesting combo with anger issues. I don't know if that's good, but there are other units that can make better use of it than the Nami. They're just going to get it a little bit later. Yeah, Belt is really nice. I would actually save the Belt because, again, you could build the Guard Breaker. So I would put that on my Gangplank. Well, actually, you don't even need to build it. It'll just automatically make it. So yeah, I would have just put that component on my Gangplank and then, yeah, just play the 6 scrap. You don't need the Elise here. I mean, she's fine, but nothing crazy. But if we wait until level 7 to kind of play like the full board, no harm, no foul. All right, let's see who we're facing off against. This person is Living Forge and Bulky Buddies, but they forgot to make their buddies bulky. So when you have bulky buddies, you want to separate units out into pairs. This person had 4 in a row, or the opponent had 4 in a row. I mean, everyone forgets the first time they take the augment or the first couple rounds. Just make sure if you do take an augment like that, you actually make use of it right away. That way you don't miss out on like a tiny bit of value, because they probably still would have lost this fight, but maybe they would have killed Elise. And then if you lose a tiebreaker in the late game because you died at the same time as someone else, or you lose by 1 HP, that's going to be the time where it actually mattered, you know? It doesn't happen every game, but it'll happen sometime. So what item component do we want here? We have this bow on Corki. We have a Sunfire Cape already, so we don't really need red buff anymore. We definitely want to get like IE on this Corki. Getting a bunch of belts, I like that a lot because, again, you could put Guard Breaker on both your Corki and your Gangplank, so I'd probably just go for the belt. It's on 3 gold. It's the highest gold amount too, so yeah, I think that would be my pick here. Rod is okay. You could use it on Echo. You could use it on Powder for like a full item, but I don't think it's required by any means, you know? But we do get the Ziggs here. I would definitely level up right now because we got a Powder to put in, 2-star for 6 scrap. Yeah, good job. No, put the 2-star Powder in, not the 1-star. Maybe they forgot it was on their bench. What items do we want to put on people? Probably the... Whoa, okay. No, don't complete items. Do not complete items. You are scrap. You can make use of all the scrap value. Yeah, just drop that on your Corki. Okay, so when you play scrap, you absolutely need to use the scrap effect. So you don't need to build items early. You could build perfect items later on. And also, Rage Blade on Corki, pretty bad item because look at what he's doing. When Corki casts, he just shoots out a barrage of rockets. It's like a spell cast. So Rage Blade is typically very bad on spellcasters because even if you're an attack damage unit and you're autoing a bunch, you're not autoing all the time. So it's not a very efficient item on him. And we also took the rod off the carousel when we could have taken something else with more gold on it, so it's like doubly bad. So I'm going to mark this off as inexperience with the comp. We did notice that this player was building out the team planner for the first time, so they might have just seen on my website that scrap is good and hard force scrap when they had like a decent spot for it, which is fine, right? But you have to know, it's more than just knowing what comp's good. You have to know how to play it as well. And Rageblade, I have never recommended this item on Corki. And normally I would kind of forgive this mistake because sometimes we're panicked and we're like, oh, we want to build items right away because we want to get value out of it as early as possible, which if they were playing a different comp would be true. But since we're playing scrap, we could always just spread out the scrap components and then build perfect items later. So we were not in a rush at this point either to like fully make items, if that makes any sense. But all in all, we are in gold. This player, despite all the mistakes, is still 94 health right now. Subscription service is pretty decent in the early game, and if you're able to get some 4-cost units later on, it is an absolute monster of an augment. Okay, we get Echo 2, very nice. Chain from that, decent. I mean, any item component's fine because we'll end up putting it on our front line anyways. But off the wolf camps, a lot of loot, lots of items. Okay, that's good. You want a lot of item components when you play scrap. What do we want to build? Okay, so you definitely want to save the belt. Okay, one more thing from that. So you could hat the echo, maybe use up the rods. Yeah, definitely level up here and roll. I mean, okay, you can just do the passive leveling, but okay, IE is good. Yeah, we'll do the items first. Belt on Corki for sure. Get a guard breaker. Very nice. Probably just build the hat on Echo. Screw it. Just use the rods. You could also reforge. Whoa. Okay, so yeah, this person has not read my guide on scrap. Or maybe they did, but then they forgot. And then they'll remember it in the game after. But yeah, you could either reforge the rods or just build a hat on your Echo. It's not bad. Echo's not really one of your primaries in this comp. Okay, good. Belt on Gangplank. Very nice. But yeah, Crown Guard also solid item. The thing about scrap items is that it's not really that important because essentially you just need 2.5 damage items on Corki and then a bunch of tank items. So picking and choosing between all those isn't like the most important thing ever. So we probably don't want geniuses. We don't really need Echo or Heimerdinger. Invested plus is a little overkill. I'd probably take Belt Overflow. We don't really need Roll the Dice. Coronation's pretty good too. That's tough. Coronation or Belt Overflow, because when you play scrap, you want a lot of components, and Belt Overflow gives the most components. It also gives a bunch of belts for your backline. And Warmogs isn't a bad item at all, but they went for a Roll the Gloves. And, oh, wow, Rumble? Holy cow. Okay, I guess some players just get Rumble like that. Yeah, I'd probably put that on... I mean, I wouldn't take this item, but we're, like, losing scrap value a little bit. Like, generally, maybe put that on Elise. Yeah, put the Crown Guard on Echo. It's a very solid item on him. Crown Guard's best on probably your Rumble, but... I mean, because your Rumble has Radiant Gloves, it's not really going to do anything. It's just not the best augment, you know? So I'd say, like, augment picking from this player, not the best. On stage 3-2, they got bailed out in a way because Buried Treasures just happened to drop off a thing that they rerolled. And then here, I'm not a fan of the gloves with the scrap comp because... like, you're wasting scrap value, and this item augment in particular is generally better in the early game rather than the late game. And it's mainly good if you have, like, random units that you want to itemize. But, like, we have so many items this game that we don't need to, like, randomly itemize a unit, you know? So could have been better. It's not going to lose this player the game by any means, but it's not helping either. So this Negatron, just put it on the Trundle. Like, just get the free item on the Trundle. No harm, no foul. Oh no. We lost 2 items by doing that. And Ionic Spark doesn't even help us, so I don't know why we built this. If they built Dragon Claw on Elise, I would have been, like, forgiving it. But yeah, we just lost 2 items for free. We got to take advantage of whatever trait we're using, because we're having a Thieves Gloves on our Rumble. We're no items on our Trundle or like no component on our Trundle and Powder. So losing a lot of value, but they are still winning rounds. I'm not going to say that they're not. but it's just not a good way to kind of go. Also, would you roll on level 8? Personally, I would not. I'd probably go level 9 because we're so healthy, and probably play around the Rumble. We're probably going to anomaly the Rumble in this game because a lot of people are going Corki. There's at least one other Corki player. I think there were 2. I don't remember exactly the details from scouting. And those players probably rolled on level 8 because they're probably lower health, and therefore they'd probably have the Corki 2 or maybe a pair of Corki. So it's going to be hard to hit Corki. We could afford to wait for them to die, and we're pretty rich and full life, so waiting till level 9, definitely a solid option here. I do wonder what this player is going to play to activate Artillerist. Again, my personal pick is going to be the Tristana. She gives the Emissary buff, so I think that is a very good or like very easy way to kind of fit it in because it buffs the whole team and it buffs up your Corki. So there really isn't any issue for that. Like, it's going to be better than the Ziggs that's doing nothing, right? I mean, eventually you don't even need the Artillerist in the late game, but it's still nice to have sometimes if you don't have like 4 cost units to kind of slot in or like legendary units to slot in. But let's see what they're facing off against. Also, another thing that people are doing, they're frontlining their Corki. And when you do that, like, he has a big scrap shield. He ends up getting like mana quicker. He ends up making use of his scrap shield a little bit more effectively, and he kind of dashes away anyway, so he's still relatively safe. So people are definitely doing the frontline Corki tech, and it's just like a slightly better way to play. You could frontline Powder as well. Another thing to mention is that anti-heal, I know we talked about it a little bit. Like, I do like red buff on Corki, but it's not actually needed in the scrap comp because Rumble and Powder both give anti-heal. The thing is, I didn't think we were going to get a Rumble so early. And here we definitely want to anomaly the Rumble, but we'd probably re-roll for a little bit. Shurima, not really the best. That's pretty good on Rumble, right? It can't be that bad. Most people go for like a tank anomaly on Rumble, but I'm pretty sure that one's probably fine, right? If you're going Corki, you could do this one. Energy absorption, no. Headhunter, probably not. We don't really need attack speed because we already have this Rage Blade, and Corki doesn't even use attack speed that well, so we don't need any of that. Okay, anomaly choice, not great. You don't need Corki with attack speed, so with the Rage Blade and now with an attack speed anomaly, we're kind of like doubling up on a stat that Corki doesn't care much about, so not ideal at all. Still playable, but could be a lot better. Also here, they took out Powder instead of Ziggs. Ziggs isn't useful in this comp if you have Rumble, so just play Powder because Powder gives Ambusher to your Echo, and Echo actually does a solid job. Like, he's not going to Giga carry or anything, but had we built Rabadon's Death Cap on him, it'd probably be pretty solid, to be honest. Like, nothing game winning or anything. Like, Corki definitely is the primary carry. Rumble's definitely going to be doing a ton of stuff. Like, look at this Rumble, so much damage, right? Had we put the Vampiric thing on him, probably would have been pretty solid because he's doing a lot of damage. But again, most people, when they do pick anomalies for this comp, if you're doing Rumble, they generally take a tank one. But I think since we had that Vampiric Vitality thing pretty early, you could save a lot of gold by just taking it without rolling that deep. That way, you can reach level 9 safer and then hit a bunch of upgrades. And we have this, like, Radiant Gloves on Rumble. Like, it as much as I was trash-talking the item before because it's not, like, super optimal in this comp, it is a very good item on Rumble because, like, what else could you ask for? He can use both tank items and AP items, so he's going to get something good most of the time. And when you get a bunch of Radiant items on a unit, you want to be buffing them up, right? So I would have played around the Rumble. Again, not game breaking at this level, but maybe if they get into Platinum, maybe Diamonds, like, it will be affecting them a bunch. Can they go for Echo 3 here? They might be able to go for Echo 3. Like, we saw a bunch of Echoes, and we do have subscription service, and we're about to go level 9, so high chance for a lot of 4-cost units. But I'd just sell the Ziggs here, sell the Camille. Like, we don't need Camille. We're not going for that. You could pick up the Vi. Vi is used in this comp. And, I mean, you could go for the form swappers as well if you hit, what is it, Swain? But yeah, let's see what items they build here. So we want more scrap items. You could probably just put the Negatron on Rumble, not Rumble, on Trundle. And then, okay, they built BT. I mean, that's fine. Yeah, it's okay. It's not the end of the world or anything. It's a little tricky, this game, because like our items are not optimized. But we should sell Camille here. We lost interest there. But I'd probably roll here. We're 1 off Corki, 1 off Rumble. No reason not to roll. We could also pick up the Alawi and whatever else we kind of hit. But yeah, definitely want to put this powder in over Ziggs still. I don't know why they're holding on to powder if they're not playing it. Maybe they're hoping to get 2 scrap emblems somehow. You'll have to wait until stage 6-5, so it has to show up on stage 5-5, get a scrap emblem, and then on 6-5 again, scrap emblem again. And that's the only way to reach 9. So I would not really chance that, so to speak. But it is costing us a little bit of gold. Gold in the late game isn't that punishing. Like if you have 0 gold in the late game versus 0 gold in the early game definitely has much bigger impact because the interest there matters a lot more. So the mistake isn't as big as people might make it out to be, but it is still a mistake here and there. But they're winning with Corki 1 somehow. Okay, never mind, they lost. They almost won though. I honestly don't know how. Like the Echo is carrying in the damage chart at least, but he doesn't even have an anomaly, so that's a little interesting to see. Oh yeah, we could have also played Savika over this Jace. Normally people take like self-destruct, so self-destruct is just good because it's guaranteed value on your Rumble. But yeah, the Jace, he's decent, but I'd only play him as like a 2-star, or if I actually go for 4 form swapper. The Savika probably a bit better. Savika can drop you gold sometimes, which is pretty nice. Okay, nice Corki 2. Okay, Jace. We could probably just chill here. Like you could roll, you could not roll. I don't really think it matters too much right now. We're at 74 life, so you could be a little more patient. But if you were lower, probably roll to 0 for some random upgrades. Like yeah, GP pair. Like sell this Camille though. I don't know why we skipped Jinx but kept on to Camille. It's a little odd choice for me. Normally, if I think you would be playing more ambushers, you would not be playing Camille. But perhaps they just skipped over the Jinx just because they're like playing too quickly or didn't see it. So what item do we want here? I mean, we pretty much are taken care of in terms of items. Maybe just get a tank item. Are there tank items? Not really. Giant Slayer is probably just generic good on a damage unit. Same for, I think, like Infinity Edge and Deathblade was also here. But yeah, probably just a Giant Slayer. Either or, like, I don't think you could go wrong. It doesn't make that much of a difference. They opt to go for the IE. Yeah, that's fine. Just drop it on Gangplank. If you get a Jace 2 item swap, put it on the Jace. And this Gangplank's looking pretty fine. If we had these items on Corki, that'd be amazing. Like, probably if you swap the items, like the Rageblade, over onto the Gangplank, the build would be a lot better with the IE Last Whisper on Corki. Just because, again, like, Rageblade doesn't do anything on Corki. Let's actually pay attention this next fight. How many stacks is the Corki going to get with the Rageblade? Type your guesses in the comments below, and let's see how close everyone is. I do prefer the powder. That's another crazy thing. This Echo is carrying without Ambusher buff. I don't know how he's even carrying, but yeah. We want to be playing the powder plus the Echo. And he doesn't have Firelight either, so he really just is scrap, which is crazy. Like, yeah, I don't know how he's doing that. But yeah, I know Corki gets stacks during his, like, animation thing, but he's not actually attacking. So, like, getting a ton of attack speed doesn't really do that much, at least in my opinion. But yeah, here's the data on Corki with 6 scrap, 4.45, but with Rageblade, it makes it a 4.71. Definitely not an ideal item. I wonder if they are able to get this Echo, though. No one else is going Echo, right? Yeah, it doesn't seem like it, so there is a pretty good chance of it. Here, I'd just be patient. Don't roll. Save up all your gold, and then do a big roll down before the game's over. Also, like, they're second rowing their Echo. I think you could frontline them, but just put, like, the tanks on the outside. So you want your Alawi and the Trundle on the outside. You don't really need them. You don't really need to second row your Echo to protect him. So another thing to kind of keep in mind there, because he can tank a little bit, just not everything, which this person does realize. They don't want Echo on the side, but you could just frontline it and then put one of the tanks on the side. It's kind of the same thing, but saves you a tiny bit of time. So the dragon gave us a bunch of gold. What do we have here? Probably self-destruct. Again, it's just guaranteed value, so that's why people like it. Alawi and oh, no Echoes, unlucky. But you could roll down here. Just roll to 50 every turn. Why not? Did we miss a Swain somewhere? I don't even think so. Oh, now we did. So we could have played Swain for 4 Form Swapper and then swap the items over from like Gangplank to Jace. What do we even want here? Hat for Echo wouldn't be too bad. And then you could Crown Guard like one of the tanks. You want like a tank item here, honestly. Shiv, I mean, we already have Ionic Spark, right? So I don't know if we really needed that. I think just getting Hat, moving the Crown Guard to one of the tanks, and then putting the Hat on Echo probably would have been best, but it's okay. Like that item choice, none of them were really that great, so it's not going to matter too much. What's more important right now is trying to get this Echo 3, probably playing the Swain over this Alawi. That way we could get 4 Form Swapper and then putting the items onto the Jace. Okay, good. Putting Corki in the front line, very nice. But you can put everyone in the front line. It's okay. You just need to spread them out a little bit. Elise definitely should be in the front, but I don't like Elise on the edge because she wants to get her cast off. This is probably, yeah, something like that. Not Corki. Echo in the front row, and you're going to be decently good to go. Yeah, good enough, right? But they're facing off in a 1v1 against the Caitlyn player, Wustavika 2, and Rumble 2. Okay, this person's pretty powerful. They have calculated enhancements and level up and flurry of blows. Flurry isn't that great for this person's comp, but I mean, it's still a decent support thing, so they get demolished. You need Echo 3 to win this game. Or maybe, would 4 Form Swapper and an item swap from the Gangplank to the Jace do anything? It probably would do something, right? But yeah, roll down to 50 again, and then I'd say after Carousel, you could maybe think about all-inning. I wouldn't all-in right now. It's like very impatient because we're at 42 life. We could afford to lose a couple of rounds, to be honest. Mel, I'd probably pass on Mel. Victor, I'd play. Whoa. We just skipped Victor. Okay, I don't like that at all. We're playing 3 Form Swapper. Why do we play Elise? We play Elise because she stuns 5 units. Victor stuns how many units? Like 9 units, 10 units? So I'd play the Victor over the Elise. Okay, can Corki do this? I hate to say it, but I think without the Rage Blade and a different item instead, we probably would have won this game. Or that round at least. Is that a scrap emblem I saw? Yeah, just get the scrap emblem. If you're going scrap and you're not going your emblem, what are you doing? Okay. Yeah, I would have just gone scrap. You could replace Trundle. Like, what's Archangels on Ziggs gonna do? What's Archangels on Elise gonna do? Nothing. That's the answer. Okay, so the late game, lots to work on. I actually thought the early game for this player, for a gold player, oh, we skipped Echo. For a gold player, I'd say that it was fine. Like, not amazing or anything. Yeah, just sell the Corkies. But, like, because we have to keep in mind, like, you're facing other gold players, too. Like, it wasn't that bad. I thought it was pretty decent. I thought it was above gold. But the late game, a lot to work on. Like, we need to show every player that I've reviewed so far is so impatient they just roll down for fun before they're in real danger. Like, now we're in real danger, but we have no gold, so we missed out on like 1 or 2 rounds of interest. And then not knowing what to swap in and out, like we skipped over Victor. You cannot skip over Victor on like any team comp because, like, again, Elise stuns 5 units, Victor stuns 10 units. 1 unit's going to be better than the other, right? Another thing is, like, we have this Jace 2 with static Shiv, so he doesn't actually have any real items. If you read Scrap, it really just gives a shield and items, so Gangplank isn't even that buffed up from this. Also, if we are going to play 3 Form Swappers, we might as well play 4. Like, Swain 2, probably going to be better than this Alawi, to be honest, if we had items on Jace. Jace with 4 Form Swapper is going to be a crank with items. Lastly, on the Carousel, we're going a Scrap comp, and then we didn't get Scrap Emblem, so that's just a big no-no. So I think you actually could have won this game. I don't know how many mistakes would have made you... I don't know how many mistakes would have undid the second place, but maybe it's like 2. All in all, not too bad though. But let's get into the Platinum game. So what I love about this video replay is that In the replay they sent me, they were actually watching one of my videos as they were playing this game. It was like my patch review video. So I thought that was pretty cool. There's no way that that may or may not have been a tiebreaker for why I chose this game over others, right? But we get a fun game because we have Mbessa. Well, it depends how you define fun. Mbessa with Wandering Trainers. And I've noticed that the Wandering Trainers now give really, really, really bad stuff with the new changes. So before, everyone, like maybe 6 out of 8 were good, and you had like one insane one and one horrible one. Now I think that like 3 players get okay ones, 4 players get a bad one, and 1 player gets an insane one. But it looks like this game, 2 players got good ones, maybe 3 players got good ones, and then the person we're watching has an insane one. But oh my god, this person... Okay, I thought they had Sniper, Bruiser, and Experiment, but okay, they had Dominators instead of Sniper. The icons kind of look the same. But here, it's no surprise what comp we're going to go. We're going to be going for Experiments because we have Sniper and Experiment, so that saves a lot of room in the comp, and you could even go for 4 Snipers. So how do you want to play this? You get your Mundo and Twitch for sure. You want to get to 5 Experiment most likely, so you'd play Urgot and Nunu. You could drop the Zyra compared to the normal comp. And then for snipers, for most of the game, I think we're just going to run with like a solo Twitch for snipers, get to 2 snipers with the Wandering Sentinel, and then just get to 2 sniper. And then what do we fill out the rest of the team with? You could do 4 sniper. If we end up hitting Caitlyn, I would definitely aim for that. Oh, tower defense is interesting. I don't really like Sniper's Nest because you get damage amp from the sniper trait anyway, so additional damage amp, while still nice, it isn't anything crazy. But I'd probably still take it because... I mean, we are going to go snipers this game, so how bad could it be? So here I would definitely try to go for 4 sniper now. So maybe not like immediately, but eventually. I would have actually held on to this Maddie that they sold. But leveling up, I like that. Good. Items, unfortunately, like I don't think we have any buildable items. We want to save the rod for the Rageblade. Like Rageblade is absolutely mandatory in this comp. Okay, I don't like that at all. So... here's the problem with what just happened there. I actually, you know how I said I liked the level up before? I don't like it anymore because we don't have any buildable items and we're all 1 star. So let me explain why I don't like this. So snipers give damage amp. And how do you make the most use of damage amp? You have to do a bunch of like damage so that it amplifies it, right? I know that sounds very basic, but that's how it works. So it's like the more damage you do, the more benefit you get from the damage amp. So the best way to pair stuff with the damage amp is to go for like base stats. So getting more attack damage, getting more attack speed, very nice stuff to complement the damage amp. So we have 2 sources of that. And then we look at Hextech Gunblade and why I don't like this item in the early game, especially in this build when we need the rod and the sword for other items, is because Hextech Gunblade works in a very similar way to damage amp in that it scales based on how much damage you do. But if we have a bunch of damage amp and then a bunch of % healing, but we're not doing any damage, then we're not doing anything at all, right? So we have a lot of resources invested without much return. As soon as we get like a Rage Blade, as soon as we get like a Death Blade, it becomes good, right? But it's going to take a while before that happens. So if that is the case, it's better just to not build the item and then also not level up to try to win streak, because we're not going to be win streaking with this board. Like I know they lost the first round, but I could have predicted that before even watching the fight unless their opponent was open forting. And this round is close. Are they going to lose this one as well? It does look like it. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out either, because of all the reasons I explained before. So I noticed the Hextech Gunblade, and I think in the previous unranked to diamond video that I did mention one of the mistakes another player made was building an early Hextech Gunblade. It's just like a big no-no. If you had like some insane combo and like you have to win streak with it, then I get building the Hextech Gunblade. Maybe it's Warwick's Galaxy or Warwick Encounter. And during that encounter, you need to kill as many units no matter what, and building the Hextech Gunblade, while not optimal in most early games, it's like the one situation where getting any power on your board is necessary. then yeah, build the Hextech Gunblade, right? But in this case, we have a lot of resources that are just doing nothing. We have the sniper trait active, might as well not even be active. We have sniper's nest, might as well not even have a nest. We have a Hextech Gunblade. What are we healing? We're healing nothing because we're dealing no damage. I mean, we could honestly check the damage chart after the match. It's going to be looking pretty bad. If we had maybe like a 2-star, then sure, maybe it could work out, but like we just don't, so it's going to be really rough. They do end up losing this game. This match was actually pretty close. They almost snuck a win out on this one because the talisman almost didn't resolve, right? But this game's looking rough already because we lost maybe like 3 gold, maybe 4 gold worth of interest because of the early level up. All right, so let's look at what we want off this carousel. Probably want the bow. Like here, again, we're first pick on carousel, but we can't even build an item with the component that we get. Like obviously we're going to get the bow for Rageblade, but we could have just waited and then we'd have a Rageblade with a sword component waiting to be built into like a Deathblade or Infinity Edge, and then we would have been in a beautiful spot. So what would I expect a plat player to play like? I'd say this is like slightly below average. I'd say maybe if you made only like 2 of the mistakes rather than like all 3, I think that would have been the level I would have kind of expected. So I think early game a little below average. Let's see how the late game is, because in the past when we've looked at all these games, I've noticed that like players either have like really good early games, really bad late games, or really bad early games, really good late games. So we'll have to see if this player kind of fixes that, because you kind of have to remember like everyone's at their rating for a reason, and also people are better at different things. Like some people are really good at making pasta, some people are really good at making pizza, you know. We all are good and bad at different things, so just because you are platinum for one reason doesn't mean this player's platinum for that same reason. It could be for a different reason. It could also be for the same reason too, but we are contested this round. A lot of players have asked me on Wandering Sentinels, what do we do if we are contested? And the answer is like you can't really do that much. You just have to roll with it. So this person's obviously going to go for the Bruiser Twitch build, which is very straightforward, right? You just tunnel vision on experiments, Twitch, and like put 1 sniper in, but they're going to be focused more on the bruisers. Meanwhile, we're going to go more so into the experiments. So if you pivot off this comp, like what could we possibly play? We could maybe do like a Zeri sniper build with Zeri reroll and just use one of the emblems. Like that's fine too, right? Like you don't have to use all the emblems, but obviously if you use more of them, it's just more free power, right? And unless we get like 5 Zeris before stage 3-2 happens, then I'd say like, sure, go for Zeri reroll. But if you don't get 5, then it's like, how could we possibly pivot into something else? What else could we make use of? Like experiment, it's only Twitch, right? So we can't use that one. And then that leaves us with Black Rose. If we get like an insane Black Rose game, and right now Black Rose is okay because of the sort comp, people play it with sorcerers a bunch. It could be usable, but we need to get like incredible items for it. We need to get incredible units for it. And in the early game, you just don't know if you're going to get those incredible units later on. So if we are building early game items, what are you going to build if you had the choice? Like the Rageblade or like a Spear of Shojin? Because we could have built a Spear of Shojin this game and go sorcerers. Obviously, we're not going to do that because like we have beautiful emblems for another comp. So it sucks, but I would say do not pivot because someone else has the same emblems as you. Now, if like, let's say off a random chance, 4 other players have pretty much the same emblems as you, you might want to consider it. But even then, like what else are you going to do? You're just going to play gimped because you are not using 3 emblems on your team. Like, come on, we have to use something, right? So I don't really like pivoting off. It is like a risky strategy, so to speak, because it's kind of like playing the 4-cost lottery in this case. But what choice do you have? There's not much choice. That's why people hate this encounter, because it kind of removes a lot of that like flexibility. Now, if you're playing Master Chef of TFT, then yeah, try to cook something up and like do some crazy pivots. But you have to keep in mind, most players are playing on the weekend. Most players are playing because they want to have fun. Most players are not trying to become world champion TFT players. And when the correct play is to pivot out like 1% of the time in like very specific circumstances, like the player who's not trying to compete for the world championship, you're not expected to know that. So just stick to whatever the emblem gods gave you, and that's the only choice you have, unfortunately, because most of the time, if you do cook and try to do something else, it's gonna look like some sort of abomination, and if I were a betting person, I'd probably bet against you if you're doing that. No offense. Actually, offense intended. So we're playing against an AFK player. Like, yeah, sometimes people AFK. Even in like high level games, I see AFKs sometimes too. Like sometimes people just disconnect. It's okay. What are the augment choices here? So the mutation survives. If we are going hard into experiments, it could be takeable. I don't like it that much, but it is definitely usable. Replication's actually pretty good. You could get some good tank items there. Probably not Golemify, but actually with the Wandering Sentinel, this could be really good, right? Like if you sacrifice it, you're not losing that much and gaining a pretty good effect. I'd probably just sack Zyra though. Zyra's effect is, I think, the best experiment effect, or whatever you want to call it. The reason why is because on Twitch, if you get a damage over time effect on your Twitch ult, like how could that ever be a bad thing? And that's what Zyra gives. She gives damage over time. So if you combine like Twitch with a red buff with Zyra's things, maybe like a Runon's, you're going to be killing like a ton of stuff. Like it's just a absolutely incredible build. So now I'm trying to think which one's better, sacrificing the golem or sacrificing Zyra. Maybe it is Zyra. Both are fine. Let's be real. But again, here, like the question to whether to pivot to Zeri or not is obviously no, because we just don't have enough Zeris. Let's talk about the items now. This person went for an adaptive helm. If you built Runons, I think I wouldn't argue with you. If you built adaptive helm, I think that's also perfectly fine also. A lot of people are afraid of building adaptive helm because they're like, oh, it's not the best item on anyone. That means it sucks, right? And that is false. It's just like a decent item in any team comp because like the name as it suggests, adaptive, any team can use this. So it's always good to build this comp if you are playing like flex or something like that. But in this comp in particular, I like it a lot on Elise because she uses mana pretty well. And in the early to mid game, you could use the adaptive helm on your tank units, and it's like a decent tank item. It's not a best in slot, but it's good enough. So if you need a tank item in the early to mid game and your team doesn't use tiers at all, which the experiment comp doesn't really use tiers, right? The best item with a tier is probably going to be a redemption, but if you don't have a redemption, you're not going to lose the game or anything, right? So if you get the option to build adaptive helm in this comp, like, yeah, just build it. It's not a bad idea. Oh, by the way, I will mention one thing. They did move their Zeri. I probably would have just kept it in the same spot for Sniper's Nest, just because, like, you're probably going to get a Twitch soon. You don't need to be rebuilding the Sniper's Nest stacks. So I would have just left the Zeri where it is, even though the experiment hex was on the other side. Like, it's okay to split up a little bit. Here, that Mundo with belt's is going to be the best thing ever. Twitch with tier, I don't like that because we don't need a tier, but the belt on Mundo definitely can build some incredible stuff. Could also build like maybe, okay, they got a glove, so they're building the Last Whisper. I was going to say we don't need the red buff because we have Sunfire Cape. What item do I want with this bow? Honestly, it might be Runons. I don't really like Last Whisper on Twitch that much. It definitely is still very buildable on him, but I think Runons is a bit better. The reason why is because Twitch attacks everything, so he's not focused on killing a tank. So he doesn't need the Last Whisper because he is just focused on killing all the squishies, and the squishies don't have much armor, right? So I don't think it's that necessary, but Last Whisper is still a good item. I just prefer the Runons in that case. What are they doing here? They're moving around a lot of units. They're trying to figure out what to put in. It's at a very awkward spot where they're one off like a bunch of different trait tiers. So it is a little confusing in that sense, but how come they aren't using the experiment hex on this turn? I would just use it. Like, just put your Zyra there, you know, or the Golem. Like, just sacrifice something because we're on a win streak, but now we're playing down an augment. I don't know. I feel like we should just use it. We do end up winning this round because this person has all 1-star, but I still think it would have been a little bit better. Next shop here isn't too much to do. We don't really need to move that much. I mean, the only thing to do is to sack someone on the hex. I'll be honest, I haven't played with this augment that much. So if there is some hidden tech where people are not supposed to use it, I would ask, why did you take it then? But maybe it does exist. I have no clue. But I would just put someone on there. But this player does end up win streaking this whole stage, so that is very nice. Hopefully we set up a good level 8 roll down. I do want to make interest here. Maybe sell the Gangplank and the Zeri. No, not the Nunu. Okay, so if we happen to get a Twitch 1, are we going to replace a Zeri 2? I would say the answer is yes. If you're going for a comp or like a vertical comp where you're only focused on one trait, like last game, we were focused all on scrap, right? We see scrap emblem. You pretty much have to take that emblem. If we're playing a game where we're in stage 3 or like entering stage 4, we're about to do a roll down and we have an experiment unit and we're going experiments, you have to keep the unit. So we have to keep that Nunu, get up the Nunu pair, get Nunu 2-star, and yeah, I don't know how to say it. Like, you just need to keep the units that your comp wants, right? I know Zeri's important because like you want to get her as item holder, but again, like this is the exact situation I was talking about. If you happen to get Twitch, like you're gonna be replacing a 2-star Zeri, no matter what. So I would have just done it like that. So here's an interesting decision. We don't have to put the Last Whisper on Twitch. I probably would, but you don't have to do it. The reason why is because we could have like Gangplank hold the Last Whisper or some other unit hold the Last Whisper, and then we can have a 3rd damage item on Twitch, like pure damage item, not like armor shredding stuff. But since we do have item removers, it's good to put the Last Whisper on Twitch in this situation. I just want to point out different situations you might encounter where you might not have all the removers, in which case like maybe you could greed and put the Last Whisper on someone else. Maybe like Urgot for now, for example, or some unit you're going to sell. Like we're going to sell Vladimir, right? So you could put it on Vladimir. After that, I probably would put the Mundo onto the experiment hex. Mundo is like your key unit, so you always want to be playing around him. And we're actually 1 off 7 experiment. That's crazy. We just need Warwick, right? So let's see what we have here. We obviously do not need the Black Rose emblem. It's not going to help us much. Salvage bin, don't really need that. Piercing Lotus, very nice, very nice. That gives us an Infinity Edge essentially, right? So we could probably take that. Scavenger's okay, not really the best. I mean, I don't know why we're holding Black Rose because no. I know we have Black Rose crest from the thing, from the Wandering Sentinel. I know we're probably going to be playing Elise, but is that Scion really doing that much for our team compared to like buffing up anything else? Like we're an experiment comp first and foremost, and then because of that we want to make use of all buffs on our experiment units, right? So maybe getting more items, maybe re-rolling to get something even better would have been much preferred. I'd say this is like a medium to big mistake, because if you get emblems, the only time that they are like good is if you go deep into it. And in this team comp, we can't fit so many Black Rose, right? Like if we get LeBlanc, if we get Elise, like we're going to be running the Elise because she is a bruiser unit. But if we get the LeBlanc, we're probably replacing the Vladimir, right? We're not going to play it with the Vladimir. So it's going to be a little bit weird to kind of fit into this team. So we'll have to see what this player cooks up. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but I do find it a little strange. Also, I just noticed again, like, didn't we see another pair of Nunus, but now we sold Nunu again? Why do we hate Nunu? Nunu's a solid guy, you know? Like, if you're going to experiment, like, just keep the units. I don't even know how to explain why. Yeah, let me try to cook up a way to explain why. It's like if you're making tacos and you got a bunch of ingredients. Let's say you're making like a fish taco or something like that, and you have some fish in your fridge, and then you're like, nah, I'm going to throw it out because I'm going to go to the store later and get a different fish. It's like you could have just used the fish in your fridge, right? You don't need to throw it out, then rebuy the fish. Because like if you're dead set on making fish tacos, like you have to keep fish, you know, like you need fish to make the taco. So I would have just done that instead, not sold the Nunu. But let's see what items they get here. We could go for, like, I like the Runons, but These item components are not the best by any means. We'd want like an Infinity Edge. This, Redemption's pretty good. Oh, another mistake I see is putting the Black Rose emblem on Mundo. Big no-no there, because Black Rose doesn't make the Black Rose units stronger. It just makes the Scion stronger. So we should probably put this on a different unit, a unit we don't care about. It also scales off of unit level. So if you have a 2-star or a 3-star unit, the Black Rose emblem becomes a lot more worth it. So we just kind of wasted a remover here for fun because we put it on Mundo. So we could just, don't put it on. We could probably put it on like Urgot, even the Zyra. So I'd probably just put it on the Urgot though. We're probably not going to fill up Urgot with 3 items. So we should just do that instead. Is it going to cost this person the game? No, but we are down 1 remover. So if we do end up in a situation where in the late game we want to do some crazy swap, we might not be able to because we're just down a remover. So keep that in mind. So we have to think about if we want to go level 8 or level 9 for our roll down. So if I was playing on my account, I probably would have rolled more aggressively on level 8 earlier on, but we didn't have the most amount of gold this game. The reason why is because we leveled up early in stage 2, so that cost us a ton of econ. We leveled up a bunch in stage 3 because we were win streaking. I think that's perfectly fine. But had we not made the mistake early game, we probably would have had like a much clearer direction on how to play. By the way, this mini-me's augment is very good on Twitch, or Anomaly is very good on Twitch. So do keep that in mind. No, don't put it on. Okay. Black Rose emblem does not make the unit stronger. Just put it on your garbage unit. Put it on Urgot. But pretty much what I was trying to say before about the econ is that I don't find myself in this position that often because I would have just had enough gold to roll down with, like very clearly on early stage 4, like 4-1 or 4-2. I probably have like 40 or 50 gold there if I did the econ correct in the early game. But if you do make an econ mistake, oftentimes what people do to kind of remediate that is to level up to level 8 on 4-5 and then roll like 50 gold there. Here is a very awkward spot because, like, again, we are level 8. You generally don't want to go level 9 unless you have your 4 costs upgraded. But if you're healthy, you could risk it YOLO, go level 9, because this person did end up winning a bunch of rounds. I'd say, like, board strength definitely varies by whatever rating you are. And if you are lower rated, you can get away with having a weaker board. But as you get higher and higher, you cannot get away with having like a weak board, and you will get punished if you don't roll. So it's going to be dependent on your game. That's why scouting's so important, to figure out how strong the rest of your lobby is. And you always have to judge based on the strength of your lobby. Because sometimes even in like high level games, people have weak boards just because it just happens to be like a low roll game for some people. Sometimes in a very low level game, you have people with insane boards, and that could be just because a bunch of people got really lucky in those games. But every time, every game, you have to see how strong everyone is and use that to kind of guide your decision making on whether you can get away with getting to level 9 or not. Because I'm gonna be honest, if I was playing this game or if I was watching someone else play this game on like a higher level account, I don't think you could get away with winning 4 out of 5 rounds in stage 4 with Twitch 1, Mundo 1, Garen 1, everything 1 except for Zyra and Urgot, which don't even have any items, right? It's just something that doesn't happen that often. So in this game, we can get away with it. So if you made that decision to not roll because you scouted, then A+ on your homework assignment. If you did not, then you got lucky. You know, it's like you did a multiple choice question and you just happened to guess correctly. It's not good, right? They go ahead and build Nashers on Mordekaiser. Interesting choice. I would say it's okay. Like, we're not really building around this Mordekaiser. I don't think he's going to live that long because he doesn't have that much protection. Normally, when you build Nashers on Mordekaiser, it's because you have like 6 Dominator, and he gets the Dominator shield to really, like, see, look at that. He just dies right as he casts, so he doesn't actually make use of the Nashers. So you need like an Edge of Night to complement him with the Nashers in this build. So since he doesn't have that, I would not have built that. I would have probably just built like a 3rd Twitch item and then put it onto the Twitch and then move the Last Whisper to someone else. Something like a double Rage Blade could have been pretty interesting, to be honest. That might have worked. However, the spot this player in isn't that bad because they're decent health and they're probably going to go level 9 right now, do a big roll down. So 60 gold to level up, we'll have like 40 to roll down with. That's more than enough to hit everything. Let's see what happens. Don't need any of this. Savika, not bad to play temporarily. We're 6 experiment for most of the game. Like, you generally don't want to be like in between 2 traits. I know they're looking for Warwick, but they could have always benched the Zyra to play something else. Gangplank's solid, but Savika probably better. They're really in love with this Garen. I think it's because they're playing the Vlad for Black Rose, so they're like, Garen makes sense, which I guess works, but he's not really imperative or like super important to the Twitch comp, but he's an okay unit. He's pretty good, but he's just 1 star, so I'm not in love with the Garen, you know? Like, if he comes to you for free, great, but if he does not, then don't force it, because he's not like a key component to this comp. So we should have rolled down to 0 here. I know it's hard to do everything very quickly, especially if you're not used to the comp. Like, whenever you're playing Wandering Trainers, you're going to be playing something a little goofy, so I completely get it if you mess up the roll down a little bit. But that's why sometimes I like rolling the round before, or like even during neutral rounds, just to make sure I kind of get everything down. But this game is a little bit weird because he did level up at 5-2, so you can't really roll during the neutral round. But it's okay. Just take a 2-turn transition, not the end of the world. It is unlucky that we're not getting Elise's. Elise is a crucial unit to this build. We're going to get what? Like Black Rose. We're going to get Bruiser. Do we get Form Swapper as well? Like, we do have a Swain in right now, so it would give Form Swapper, but Swain we could easily take out. He's honestly not that necessary in this build at all. It looks like they want to try to go for like some heavy Form Swapper build. I don't really know what they're trying to do, to be honest, but the team is working because they got Mundo 2 and they have a lot of damage in the back. So, okay, now things get interesting. I'd probably take the LeBlanc with Black Rose now, like, because we're so deep into Black Rose. I mean, Caitlyn's looking pretty good too, but like LeBlanc with Black Rose, like, you can't ask for a combo that is more combo-y, right? So now we could play this stuff maybe over the Zyra. We get to like 4 Black Rose. If we get the Elise, that's going to be 5. Oh, perfect. Elise right there. Please buy it, even though it's not in your team planner. Okay, they almost re-rolled over it. I was scared. So you always have to make sure your team planner is accurate. Okay, Mordekaiser. Honestly, we probably drop the Mordekaiser in this build because we just don't have room for it if we play the Black Roses. So I'd probably just swap out the Mordekaiser, put in the LeBlanc, put Nashers on LeBlanc, and then put the Black Rose emblem on some of the experiment units. Like, why are we taking out Nunu? This person really does not like Nunu. I don't know what's going on. Put it on your Urgot. Okay, good. Like, Nunu's a perfectly fine champion. I don't know why people hate Nunu so much. Like, he's not the main carry of experiments. He's not the main tank of experiments. He's not the main of anything, but he's a solid unit, you know? He gets like damage reduction, I think, whenever he casts. So you just put him on the side. He just burns a lot of time for your team. I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not bad at all. So don't sleep on Nunu. He's actually like a decent unit because he doesn't need items to like really shine. Like, he'll just do a solid job no matter what. Like, nothing crazy. He's not gonna do everything for you, but everyone needs like that support character, you know? It's like not everyone can be the main character. But we're probably not getting Mundo 3-star. Like, in the previous game, the person easily could have gotten Echo 3. The game just decided not to give him Echo 3 that game, and the reason why is because they had so much gold and they were level 9 and they had a bunch of Echoes already, so you could easily have that opportunity come up, right? But in this game, we're level 9, so that's good, but we're 5 gold and we only have 4 copies of Mundo. We're not hitting Mundo 3 this game, I'm sorry, so we should just sell that Mundo and use that gold to make like 1 extra interest, and maybe we can potentially use that gold to hit Twitch 2 or whatever else this game. But we get rocked here. Unfortunate. Oh no, is that the game? That's the game. Ah, that is bad. All right, if someone's bored, calculate how much damage this Mordekaiser did in all the rounds that he played in. I guarantee you it's going to be pretty low. Wow, they got 3rd this game. I'm going to be honest, like, I don't think this game was played very well. I'm very surprised this is a 3rd. So I will give this player a little leeway on their mistakes because they're playing on Wandering Sentinels. That could confuse anyone. It even confuses me because there's a lot of different things going on, and you pretty much never get the same exact combo of Wandering Sentinels in your game, and other players are dealing with that nonsense as well. So you're allowed to make more mistakes on Wandering Sentinels. With that being said, I don't get why Nunu was hated so much. The level up decision in the early game, that is like a difficult thing for people to kind of grasp, so I will forgive that mistake, so to speak. But if you do improve on that, I guarantee you'll climb a lot better if you kind of think about what items give what traits give what, and have them kind of synergize together. And if they don't, then just make econ instead. We can't always get like pocket aces whenever we play. So I think in terms of general improvement for everyone watching this video, that 2-1 decision making is gonna help you climb the most, and it'll apply to everyone's situation, not just the player that we were watching. But for the specific player we were watching, I'd say gold usage, not that great, but at least you didn't waste any rerolls like some of the other players we saw. So maybe I give you like average score, 5 out of 10. Unit choice, you're playing 6 experiment for a lot of the game and 4 experiment before that for a lot of the game. So I'd give you maybe like a 2 out of 10. Augment choices, not the best, you know. It wasn't the worst, but not the best. Maybe I give like a 4 out of 10 for that. I think if you were playing a normal game without Wandering Sentinels, you would not have been baited by the Black Rose at all, and you probably would have been perfectly fine. So again, I kind of forgive that mistake. But I'd say those are the things to kind of work on. And for most people, that decision on the beginning of stage 2 is going to be the difference maker between like maybe like a whole tier of rating, because you could apply that every single game. But let's get into the Emerald game. It looked like from the load screen, this is between Emerald and Diamond, so maybe they're high Emerald. And we have Powder's encounter. So Powder gives a little bonus at stage 3-5. Sometimes it's not a bonus though. Sometimes she damages everyone. So like she gives you like a little gift box. Sometimes it explodes. Sometimes it gives you a gift. But let's see what we do here. So we have the Tristana on the board. I guess that's fine. Like the other units, like all the units in this person's shop honestly aren't that great. And yeah, sure, just keep the Tristana, whatever. But based on these items, we probably don't care about her anymore. You want to play her in the Sentinel Tristana comp or in the Tristana Urgot comp, but we don't really have items for either of those. We have like more of an AP game here. So are they going to decide to play AP? Who knows? We do have the Rebels in this shop here. We have Morgana. There's a Morgana reroll tech that people are playing. I think it's okay. It's nothing crazy, right? It's not going to be like the next OP comp by any means, but it is something to kind of look out for if you are curious on like new comps. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But let's see how well they pick their augments. So yeah, not Pit Fighters. I would have re-rolled the Inspiring Epitaph before re-rolling Crown Guard, because item augments are pretty good in the beginning of the game, but they go for tower defense. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I always recommend getting these like emblem related augments for pretty much any player below Masters, even at Masters, because it just makes the decision making process a lot easier. The reason why is because you cannot get confused when you play this. It's as if we had perfect Wandering Sentinels from last games, right? Like you just pick a comp, or the game picks a comp for you and they're saying, go for this. And you're like, okay, so now you can focus on only picking up those units. You can pretty much just set your comp from the beginning and forget about the rest, minus maybe like 1 or 2 units. And then you could focus all of your energy on making the correct items, making the correct leveling decisions, making the correct rolling decisions, and just be in a much better position for most of your game. So that's what I really like, or that's why I really like those types of augments for players who are like below Masters, because it is much easier to climb when you just have complete direction from the beginning. That way you don't mess up, because if you get a recipe book and they're just like, yeah, you could do whatever, like, is your cake gonna come out that great if you're not an experienced baker? You could get lucky sometimes, but most of the times I would bet no. But if someone gives you like an exact recipe to follow, even if it's not the best recipe ever, it's still going to be pretty solid, right? Like you're still going to get a decent cake at the end of the day. So that's why I like the forced emblem augments, or like whatever you want to call them, for most players, because it just gives you a lot of direction. So now we know we're going to go Rebels. You could go for a Bruiser start or a Sentinel start. It depends what you get. Like obviously Sentinel is going to be a bit better because you have Aurelia in the beginning, and then later on you get Alawi. But because Set is also a rebel and he's a 2-cost bruiser, you could pair it with bruisers. But this person's deciding to play whatever 2 stars they get. I completely am on board with that. And they got a 2-star Steb, so we got to play around that. Slamming the items on him, great. I like that a lot. As for Redemption, what items could we have built this game? So our 3 options were Redemption, Adaptive Helm, and Even Shroud. I think the best item is going to be the Redemption. But if you build any of the other items, I wouldn't really argue too hard with you. The reason why is because the tier is pretty useful for items for Zoe if you're playing around Zoe. It's good for Jinx if you're playing around Jinx later on for the Shojin. But pretty much any of these item combinations, like, they all have their merits. Like, if you built the Even Shroud, you save the tier for the items I mentioned before. If you built the Adaptive Helm, you get a lot more adaptability in your build, so you could build whatever items you get. So you could have the adaptive in the backline, potentially on one of your mana users, such as Morgana or like this Renata that this person picked up. If you get a ton of damage items before you get to your late game, you could use it as a tank item. So like, there's merits to all of the builds here. There's probably merit for all of those there. So I'm not gonna grill anyone for thinking which build is like better or worse, because I honestly think they all have their merits. Probably depends on what your playstyle is, but let me know down in your comments. Also timestamp when you comment so I know what game you're talking about, or like whatever point I'm talking about. And let me know what would you have built in that situation, because I honestly think they're all pretty fine. With that being said, I think what is the best tank item for your Alawi later on? I think it would be Redemption from those items. But let's see what they get off this carousel. 96 life, so they're going to be 3rd pick. Attack speed is the most important stat in the Rebel comp, because Jinx and Zoe make incredible use of it because they all really like to attack really quickly. It's on a 1-cost unit, so it's not ideal. If we were on a win streak, I'd probably want to finish off this Negatron, but we're not on a win streak. So get a bow or a tier, call it a day. I think you'd play more for the late game. So Rebels is a tricky comp because if you don't know how to play it, it's really bad. If you do know how to play it, it's okay. The reason I say that is because Rebels are not really a typical 4-cost comp. You might think it's a 4-cost comp because you're like, oh, they have Zoe at 4 cost and Alawi at 4 cost. But if you look at any stats for Rebels, you'll know that the only unit that actually matters is Jinx. Well, Alawi matters too, because Alawi buys time for Jinx to cast, but Jinx is going to be the main carry. So without Jinx, the comp is useless, and because she's a legendary unit, it's going to be tough to get her to even 1 star, because it's hard to get one specific legendary unit, and no other option kind of makes up for that. Like, there are other comps, like maybe if you're going a Black Rose flex comp, if you hit Mordekaiser, great. If you hit LeBlanc, great. You could like there are a lot of options, right? Like, you prefer LeBlanc, but if you hit Malzahar, Mordekaiser, things like that, like, they're all playable. In Rebels, you really are only hit or miss on Jinx. So you need a lot of econ when you play this comp. So you need to get an econ augment if it's not like a econ portal. Like, if we had gold subscription, like, yeah, you could probably get away with no econ augment. But since we're not gold subscription, it's going to be a little tricky to get to level 9 to get Jinx, or you have to just luck it out on level 8. So how do we get there? So we could either win streak a lot, but we are already tunnel visioned into Rebels, so we can't really decide that. Or we could just pray for an econ augment off of stage 3. So we're probably just going to do that. We do get this Ezreal, so we could play 5 Rebel. We do have to sacrifice some other traits, but I think that's perfectly fine. Yeah, we could probably sell a bunch of this garbage on our bench. We don't really need too much of this, right? Like, can we even make it to 20 gold, though? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we'd be at 17 gold. Not really, not without selling the other Rebel units. I'd probably hold on to the other Rebel units because we want to keep them for stage 3. Getting them upgraded randomly would be a big benefit. So I think we're just stuck at 11 gold here. A little unfortunate because we are pretty poor this game. You generally want 30, maybe 40 gold by the time you get to stage 2-7 when you play this, but at least 20, right? It's rough. Like, yeah, I mean, selling all this while it is making 20, we do end up needing the Rebel units. And getting Aurelia 2, I mean, okay, so this changes everything, but you can't rely on this. Aurelia 2 is your main tank in the early game. So reducing the chances of getting an Aurelia 2 by selling one of her, very, very, very risky to do. Like, I would have sold the Akali instead if you were going to sell something. But we lucked out. We got an Alawi, so it doesn't matter. But other games, it will matter, I promise you. Getting Aurelia 2 is crucial for Stage 3 because you need tanks in this comp because you often build stuff like a Rage Blade, or you pretty much just need your damage units to carry, and the only way for them to do that is if you have tanks on your team. The reason why is because Rebel gives a lot of attack damage and ability power, so it's mainly like a damage trait. I know it gives some % health, but the damage is really what you're after. So to kind of balance that, you want to focus on like tank upgrades. Like if you were to ask me, would I rather have a Vex 2 or Aurelia 2? I'd rather have Aurelia 2. Would I rather have a Set 2 or a Kali 2? I'd rather have a Set 2 in this comp because tanks are just more important. Would I rather have Alawi or Zoe? I'd rather have Alawi. Yeah, tanks are just very important in this build because you always need to balance stats on your overall team. You need like as much offense as you have defense, so they kind of balance each other out, and it just leads to the best outcomes. Like, don't ask me why, it's just how the math works for forever in TFT. But we're facing off against an Inting Chem Baron player. That's fine. They have War on the Undercity. They're probably going to get something sick from that. But we want to win. We want to preserve life, so we're actually happy that we're facing them, especially now. And we need an econ augment off this augment. Unless we just get lucky again. Like, they ripped in Alawi, so we pretty much have all the power we need for later on. And it is a little unfortunate. They are being contested by a different Rebel player. And I don't even think Rebels are that good right now, so that's doubly bad. But we have tower defense, so it's not on us to pivot. It's on the other. Oh my God, Little Buddies, please. Little Buddies is like one of the best augments for this because what component do I like in this comp the most? I like Bow the most. And what does Little Buddies give? It gives attack speed and health, which is nice. And we run a lot of like crappy units. We run Aurelia, we run Akali, we run Set, sometimes Vex as well. So we have a ton of Little Buddies to buff up the only other units we care about, which are Alawi, Zoe, and Jinx. So it is the perfect augment. There's like no ifs, ands, or buts. All right, so we're running a random Garen. Is that the best thing to run? I'd probably rather run a Tristana here. Make 30 gold. We don't need Garen for anything later on. We get Artillerists to buff up our Ezreal a little bit. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why are people obsessed about selling units that belong to the trait of the comp they're forcing? We just gotta keep on to them, you know? I don't know. I'm only frustrated because we saw this in the past, like, 3 games now, I think. If you're going to trait and they give you an item for that trait or a unit for that trait or whatever for that trait, 95% of the time, just keep it. There are times where you don't want to keep it. I get it. But if you're not like pushing the higher up ranks, like, you don't need to know the 5% scenarios. Just like keep it. Don't try to like outsmart yourself, you know? It's like, because that's what's essentially happening right now. Because again, you know how before I was saying like I highly recommend going for like the trait emblems? It's so that you don't make these types of mistakes, because you're like, okay, I know exactly what I need to do for like the next 20 minutes of the game for like one of the aspects of TFT. That way I could focus on everything else. But if you mess that up, then the whole advantage of going for only one trait is like just negated. So the whole point of going for the trait augment is just completely ruined if you don't play to that strategy. It's kind of like having too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, following like a mediocre plan but going all in on it is better than following 5 better plans separately and not doing one full plan. Like, it's just horrible to have multiple plans. And yeah, the whole point of taking a emblem augment or a trait augment is to just have one plan. And the past 3 players have not followed that, so I'm not too excited about that. So that, I'd say that's like a decently sized mistake. It's not going to cost them the game, but like getting an upgrade is good. Like, okay, they're hovering the Zoe, but they should actually be hovering the Alawi. Okay, they see the Alawi because she has Spatula. You can make Rebel Spat from that. Absolutely incredible stuff, but they're not going to get it because their last pick, and it's a very strong unit, and people like Spatulas and Pans to begin with, so yeah, just not getting that. What do we want? We could go for this Ezreal, get a Dragon Claw. Nope, we can't. Probably just tier then. Belt tier. I'm not excited about either, but Negatron better in the immediate term. Tier, I think, better in the later term. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Probably Negatron. Yeah, just go for the now. Build the Dragon Claw. I don't know how much AP is in this game, but let's see what they get here. The monkey didn't explode, but it... Oh, no bows. Unlucky. Jeweled Gauntlet's fine, yeah. Okay. Sure. D-Claw. Nice. All right. Now we could solo frontline the Alawi. Yeah, this other person just gets Rebel too. Like, I don't know why they would contest you. That's unlucky, I will say. But it happens. Like, if this was a previous patch, I'd understand it because Rebels was the best comp like 2 patches ago. Well, not the best comp, but like one of the best comps. But now it's like other comps are just better. So being contested on this is pretty awful. But if we can beat them, then it's fine. Like, you can't really pivot when you take tower defense. It's up to the other person to not contest you. So sometimes it happens in a free-for-all game such as TFT. If someone griefs you, you shouldn't like think too much about it. But we finally get Aurelia 2. It's the time where she's not good anymore because it's the end of stage 3. We could have gotten her at the beginning of stage 3 when she is good, but we sold the other Aurelia pair before, so we kind of missed out on that. So not the best, but this person did win all the rounds in stage 3. But I'm telling you, in other games, or like when you face people that are stronger, you might not get away with winning all these rounds. So just keep the pairs, especially if you're going for a very specific comp. We're facing off against ambushers now. This guy's so weak, holy cow. They have all 1-star, clear bench, and yeah, maybe they haven't even started the rerolls yet, even with clear bench. So we pick up a win here. That's pretty nice. Whenever you're playing in the Smeech meta, you have to be careful about putting low item units in your backline near your primary carries. So kind of, you know how every comp has that random unit in the backline that they have there for fun with no items? Like, just make sure they're on the other side of your main carries. That way Smeech doesn't jump on them, kill them, and then attack your main carries after that. So always be careful, because right now it is kind of like a Smeech meta. Like, one person's probably going to be playing Smeech in all of your games. Heimerdinger, not that important. We want to level up. We're piss poor this game, though. Like, ideally, we'd be level 7, 30 gold on stage 3-5, but that did not happen this game, which is fine because we don't have econ augments. We didn't perma win streak or anything. We have a win streak right now, but we missed it out early on. But I'd say we're not in the best econ game for a Rebel game right now. For any other comp, I'd say we'd be in a pretty good spot because we're healthy and we have like an okay amount of gold. But for Rebel specifically, you need a crap ton of gold because you just need Zoe. So I would be patient right now. What? No. We just reforged the best component of this comp. We could have built red buff. Bows are important when you play Rebels. The spatula is made from bow, right? Like, okay. I don't even know what's going on anymore. I mean, you could build the blue. I don't think it's that great, but you could build it. Oh. Okay. Let me breathe for a second. I like Rageblade more than the red buff, but red buff is still a very fine item because you need attack speed in this build. Also, you do a lot of AoE damage with Zoe and with Jinx, so you need the anti-heal effect to be applied to backline units so that they don't heal up with the Hextech Gunblade, because a lot of people build Hextech Gunblade nowadays, or from some other random effect. So it's just a very good item for the Rebel comp, and it also gives attack speed so that they cast faster, which Zoe loves casting fast, and same with Jinx. So we just griefed. Well, no. Okay, like, we have Mace's Will, and we have a Jeweled Gauntlet, and we rolled over it. Like, re-roll the Portable Forge first. Like, I know Sentinel, I probably would have taken Sentinel as well, but like, You re-roll the Portable Forge one first, and like we might have been able to take Mace as well because we have Jeweled Gauntlet already. What makes Jeweled Gauntlet better? Because it makes your spells crit, right? Getting more critical strike chance. What's a way to get more critical strike chance? Mace's Will. What does Ambusher do with Jinx later on? Jinx gets like the spells can crit effect from Ambusher. So we don't run like 5 Ambusher in the Rebel build though. We only run 2. So how do we get more? From Mace's Will. I mean, Sentinel's not bad. Sentinel is good still. I just would have preferred like re-rolling Portable Forge first because we're definitely not taking that. I might have even preferred Mace's Will over this. I don't know. That's tough to say. Maybe not. Our items are so bad. Like, I wouldn't be in this position ever because I would have built red buff and then I could have reforged maybe one of the tiers, you know? Then perhaps taking Mace's Will would look a lot better. But I mean, the Sentinel thing is still very good because, yeah, we run 2 Sentinels naturally, so we could get to 4 pretty easily. Who do we want to run? Probably Rumble. He's going to be the best. You could run Rumble with the Echo, get Scrap for free. And they're also just very good units. Echo is good for Ambusher for your Jinx, and Rumble is a legendary unit who is a Sentinel. So yeah, obviously we're going to run him. We could run Loris in the meantime. He's in the team comp right now. You could keep this team planner. Like, I don't know what they're trying to add. We're playing around Heimerdinger now. Wait a minute. Wait, what's going on? Okay, let me let them cook first, and then we'll judge them at the end. So they want to pivot into Heimer Sentinels, it looks like. Heimer Corki Sentinels. Even then, the red buff's still good because you could put it on Corki, so it's not... And if you were committed to Heimerdinger, you would have built the blue buff already. So I don't know if they're actually wanting to play Heimerdinger or not. I guess they want Archangel Staff. Is that what they want? I just wouldn't play Heimer, so I wouldn't even plan around the Archangel Staff. Because, yeah. A Jinx one just repairs a game. Even like Zoe could probably carry a bit with these items. Like... If you're contested and you're like, oh, I should switch, right? The best unit in the comp, or like the most important unit right now in the comp is Alawi anyways, and the Rebel player is still going to grief your Alawi, so it doesn't really fix that situation. You're still like pretty contested. So I don't think pivoting to like Sentinel Heimer even helps that much. And meanwhile, you're just like sacrificing one of your emblems, so I... don't know what to say about that. Okay, someone took the rod, unlucky. Yeah, belt, sure, why not? Like all these items kind of, or all the choices kind of suck because the items got griefed. Like we griefed our items, so I don't know. It's hard to fix that, but belt's fine because we can put it on other tanks. We already have a redemption, so it's a little unlucky, but whatever. Yeah, sure, roll down. You're going visionaries, sure. Corki? Nope. Leona? Nope. Corki? Nope. Sure. Take out Akali. Why are people in love with Garen so much? Both games, this game and last game, people are playing like random Garen. No traits, no synergies. I don't know why. I know he's a 4-cost unit, but normally when I play a random 4-cost unit, it's because I 2-starred them. Not so much because they just have them 1-star for fun when I have other stuff to play instead. So I'd probably replace that. Maybe they didn't have time to this turn because they did do a pretty big roll down. They were actually able to get to 0 gold, which is pretty impressive, right? Let's see what anomaly they take here. So probably want a... Oh, that's pretty good. It's like a built-in Archangel Staff on your Heimerdinger. It's not the best, but it's good for this build because we don't have Archangels, right? A lot of times you have to adapt your build based on what you have. And in this specific game, okay, we probably don't need to run all the Visionaries. We probably just need to do 2 Visionaries. You only want to go deep Visionary if you get a Malzahar. So I would have preferred seeing like the Ezreal plus Corki instead of the Nunu and Renata. But it's not the end of the world. So we're rolling because we have a Alawi pair. I probably would have just waited for next stage because we're at the end of the stage already and we only had one pair. If we had Heimer pair and Alawi pair, maybe I would roll. I know we are contested. It is a little rough, but we just have much less gold now because we're going to miss out on like 2 rounds of interest. And then the neutral round, we don't have the Alawi 2-star for. Like, we're at 54 life, so we could have easily just taken a loss here in this round and we'd be at what, like 40 life? And that's still a fine situation to be in, right? Like, we just need to be a little more patient. It's hard. Patience is hard because I've noticed a lot of the little things I would have done differently. It just comes down to patience because most people have like pretty healthy life totals in the games we've seen so far. If you are like one of the 17 health guys in this game, then yeah, rolling there, I can't fault you for that. That's like probably what you're doing, right? Because you're on your final lives. So in those cases, I would say, yeah, sure, roll down. But right now, we did not really need to roll down. But this is a mistake I've seen in pretty much like all the games we've reviewed. In Academy, you don't really need Lux unless you're going like 6 Academy. I think she's a little too weak to run for the most part. All right, what do we want here? We could go for an anti-heal effect, maybe red buff anyways. We also have Sunfire Cape, so we could build Sunfire and then actually like all the item combos we could have taken, like they all pretty much end up in like a dead item or like a not that great item. All right, so we're giving up the Nunu, playing more Academies. We could probably take the Shojin off the Heimerdinger and then put the hat on him. Yeah, it's okay. Just sack this round. It is what it is. Yeah, Rage Blade's fine. Sunfire Cape on your rel. They'll probably figure it out next round. Like sometimes you forget. Like I make this mistake too all the time. It's like I'm building my items and then like the fight goes on. There's too much shiny stuff on my screen, so I can't see who doesn't have the item yet. But we do end up losing this round, so we're in a bad spot now because we're about to be 30 life. We had 30 gold here. We wanted to roll down to 0 here for sure. We're running 5 Sentinel also, but yeah, it's a little, if you're not used to the comp, it could be a little tricky. Like we spent more time putting a Lux 1 in than doing everything else, so that is another issue too. So definitely want to roll down now, probably pick up the Corki. And we need Heimer 2. Are they trying to go level 9 here? Okay, that's a little aggressive. I would not do that because we just did not have much gold this game. I think I've been saying that most of the game, right? We have had low to medium econ the entire time. So we need to play around that. So in the gold game, in the platinum game, I think they were both rich that game, so we were able to get to level 9. But this game, you got to recognize when to give up. And this is one of the games where you need to just suck it up, know you're not going to win, and play around level 8 and get that Heimerdinger 2. I know we would have lost this round anyways because we're facing a Silco 3, but we had a different matchup we could have rolled into, so we need to play around that, right? We're also playing 4 Rebel, 5 Sentinel. Yeah, we don't want to do that. But hopefully they roll down here. Okay, Jace, good. Yeah, put that in over that. Sell the Lux. Great. I don't know about doing it that way, but do the roll down first. Always prioritize the roll down because you can fix everything else later. Okay, Corki 2, great. We want to fit in 5 or 6 Sentinel somehow. Like, I don't know what this Nami's doing here. She's not doing anything at all. So I'd probably drop down, like, give up the Ezreal maybe and play for 6 Sentinel instead because that's going to be much more worth it. I know we don't have Rumble yet, but if you have an emblem, you need to go deep into it. So yeah, we could just keep this Aurelia in over this Ezreal, play whatever Sentinel we had before to get to 6, and then replace the Nami. And then we'd be in a perfectly fine spot, but, well, not perfectly fine, but we would have been in a slightly better slot. Maybe it could have made a difference this round. We also had a Spear Shojin on our front line. Jace, probably not the best either. And we end up getting a 6. So I think the main takeaway from this game is if you get Rebel Emblem, just hard force it. I know we didn't hit Jinx, but you got to play around it. And while there were other mistakes, like I'd say that's the biggest one that needs to be fixed. But we are on the Diamond game now. We are against Victor, or like we have Victor Portal or Victor Encounter, which means that 6 costs show up a bit earlier. So that incentivizes rolling a bit more and playing all those team comps that have 1 random extra unit slot going to be slightly better, nothing insane, because you don't always get the 6 costs anyways. So it's still pretty low chance. Or you get like Warwick instead of Victor. So there's so many things that could kind of happen. So you don't always play around it fully, but if you get it, great. Find a way to play around it. Don't skip Victor like the other player we saw. But let's check out this player's early game. So I'd probably keep the Amumus and the Dariuses. Yeah, put the double Amumu on there. Great. Okay, so we see already immediately the Diamond player is playing better than all the other players we saw so far in the early part of the game. Putting the pair units into the board, like, it makes the most sense, right? Because you're probably going to play around them in the early game, even though you're not hard forcing like an Amumu comp or like a Automata comp or a Guardian comp, or sorry, Watcher comp. But you just play it just because it's what you have. I'd also buy the Morgana. There's no reason not to. Always spend all your gold in the early game unless you are making interest. So now that we have the Aurelias, we might want to prioritize. I don't even have to say anything. This is beautiful. So 2 Aurelias in plus a Singe probably is what I would. Okay, never mind. I spoke too soon. They still have 3 seconds to fix it. Do they fix it? Also, don't sell pairs in the early game. A lot of people wonder or ask themselves, like, why don't I have upgrades in stage 2? Everyone else has upgrades. Could be because you're just selling the pairs that you got. But yeah, I would have played double Aurelia Singe here. Again, not the biggest difference, but it does make a little bit of a difference. Loot Explosion, Spear's Will, too much value. I mean, Ambushers are good now, but we don't have any gloves. Too much value is good if you like 2 cost reroll. Our items could be like a Zeri build in a way. Spear's Will is probably what I would take. What doesn't kill you? I kind of like what doesn't kill you. It's not the best situation to take it in right now, because you normally want to take it when you get a huge econ start, and we don't have that right now because we got 3 items instead. But okay, this person, why is everyone getting lucky in the games I'm seeing today? But they're not even winning all the games either, so there's a lot to improve on. Like, they have no ambushers before they took the ambusher augment, and then they just see a Camille in their shop. Like, how come I don't get that in my game when I YOLO these things, right? Like, okay, so now that we got a little lucky, a bad decision was kind of saved. Like, I know ambushers are good on this patch, but we don't have good items for them. Like, we don't have any gloves, which is their main component. And we also did not have any ambushers on our bench. If we had like 1 Camille 1 beforehand, if we had like 2 powders so that we take the augment, we get a 2-star powder, then I get it, you know? But we really risked the entire part of the early game for no reason, you know? And in this situation, we got bailed out a little bit. We didn't get completely bailed out yet, but it is better than nothing, right? But if I see Bow and Rod on my bench for my items, I'm thinking Rageblade, go Twitch, go Zeri, some sort of Rageblade comp, right? And then if I had to like handpick my augment, I'd probably take like some econ augment, maybe like Slammin' or something like that. Then I'd just go Fast 8, go Twitch. But out of the options we had, maybe it was the Spear's Will, because you want a sword in that comp anyways, and it'll help us like get pretty decent items later on. But going this Loot Explosion thing was super, super risky. Let's see if it pays off. Sometimes when you take a risk, you get rewarded for it anyways. But my hopes are not that high this game. Everyone down in the comments, let me know for the Diamond games. Type like in the comment, Diamond game, and then what place you think this person's going to get based on what we've seen so far. Maybe we'll do a checkup in stage 4, because anything can kind of happen, right? Like, maybe they redeem themselves, maybe they get lucky, maybe they get unlucky, and that changes what place they're going to get. But with that being said, I know a lot of master players who make this mistake. They just know a comp is meta, and then they tunnel vision on that comp no matter what if they see an augment for it. And one thing that I've noticed between master and challenger players when I watch them is that even if a comp is good, a challenger player will not mindlessly go for it unless they have some way to actually get into the build. So if they had no units, but they had like perfect items and the comp is OP, then you could get away with it. But if we don't have the items, we don't have the units, we have no reason to, like, most of them would not take it. Because at that point, you're just praying that you get both perfect units and perfect items. And if you get that, then any comp works, right? Not just the Ambusher comp. So you could have played anything. Also, while Ambusher is good, it's not the best comp in the game right now. So it's not even that worth it, so to speak. So I listed out maybe like 4 conditions, and none of them were met. One of them was half met. The comp is good, but not like an insanely good comp. So it's not hard forceable territory yet. So you got to keep up with the meta snapshot. Like maybe the only comp that is truly like super hard forceable is scrap. But if you have none of the units, it's going to be a rough early game, you know, and you need to reach level 8 pretty safely with that comp, sometimes even level 9 to get the rumble. So it's not even that easy of a walk in the park, you know. But yeah, 3 unbuilt items. If I were to not build any items, I would have preferred taking what doesn't kill you. That way I lose streak anyways, but I have a ton of gold to do whatever I want to stabilize later on. So what do we get here? We get a sword. Yeah, that's fine. Like, that's the thing. Like, you want a glove when you play ambushers, but we can't even take a glove here because it doesn't even build any item for us. If we had a tier, then I get it, because then we could build a Hand of Justice right away. But right now, like, we can't even take the Camille with glove because we have to take sword for Bloodthirster. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, if you had a tier, you could take the Camille with the glove there and then have Camille 2 and probably stabilize for a lot of this game. But we're in this weird situation now where we have a Bloodthirster, which is good on Smeech. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like having a Bloodthirster on Smeech, but if you look at all the other ambusher units, if you look at your immediate board, which is Camille carry for the time being, because we don't even have a Smeech right now, like, we'd much rather have a way to get Hand of Justice because it's just a much better item on her. But that's why it's risky to go for this if you do not have perfect items and if you don't have the units, because, again, it's just too many conditions to kind of... Wow, why are people getting so... Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? His opponent has Wandering Trainer, Sniper, Bruiser with the Rage Blade. So they just get a free Twitch game for fun. This person is probably getting top 3 easily. No questions asked. And they have a Maddie 2-star, Trundle 2-star. They're probably getting second place guaranteed off of that. Like, that's disgusting. Why am I even seeing this on my screen? I swear my triple Wandering Trainers are not as good as what this person got. Like, and I have 3 emblems instead of 2. Like, I'm pretty sure you all experience the same thing. All right, so we get a Zeri there. People play Zeri in the Ambusher comp if they're playing Firelights with Echo. I don't really think it's that necessary in the build, but you don't really need much to fit in this comp. Like, you're pretty much just playing 5 Ambushers, and then the rest of the units, they don't really matter that much. So it's actually a pretty good comp for this galaxy, which is the Victor Galaxy, or Victor Portal. People wonder, like, oh, what is he talking about with Galaxies? Galaxies was like the old name for portals, or encounters. It went Galaxy, then Portal, then Encounter. That was like the naming change throughout the sets. But for some reason, I can't get the first naming that I got out of my mind. So that's why I call it Galaxy sometimes. So I'm sorry if that confuses people. I'll try to use the word Encounter, because that's what the current name is, but I forget sometimes. But regardless, this comp is actually pretty good on the Victor Encounter because you are able to fit in a lot of those random 6-cost units, because you really only want 5 Ambusher, and the rest of the units, while they do matter a little bit, they don't matter as much as in other comps. But we do get a solid 5-game loss streak in Stage 2, but again, if that was the plan, why not do what doesn't kill you, you know? I know it's hard to plan it out throughout the entire thing, but if you don't build items, if you don't level up, what augment would you choose? You'd choose like a lose streak augment in most cases. So to me, that would have been a preferred choice, but it is what it is. I probably would have taken Spear's Will, but it would be tough if I saw both options. I'm not sure what I would have taken between the two, because I do like the sword for the Rage Blade for Twitch, but getting Econ for guarantee hitting Twitch too, also pretty nice. Get a chain here, pretty good for Titans. Yeah, builds that. I wouldn't have built it right away, but you probably will end up building it anyways. But I like to see what all the items are. Belt, sword. No gloves, no tears. So no Hand of Justice for you, my friend. This is what I'm talking about. We're going to have to build the Sterix, most likely. It's still a fine item, but it's not like a best item. And when you're forcing a comp, you want to be building best items in most cases, especially for reroll comps. So a lot of people ask me, like, what comps are item dependent? What comps are not item dependent? On average, reroll comps are more item dependent than 4-cost comps. They're also more dependent on the anomaly, on getting a perfect anomaly versus getting like a decent anomaly and then saving your gold for other stuff. this is on average. Obviously, there are exceptions. Like, for example, Twitch really wants a Rage Blade, even though he's a 4-cost unit. So that's like a must-have for him. But I'd say in general, if you were to choose a TFT superpower and your TFT superpower was being able to get like best in slot items all the time, I would be playing reroll comps more than I would be playing 4-cost comps if that were the case. But obviously there are exceptions, but we get slaughtered here. It's okay. Like, we're 67 life. Not ideal. We have not gotten much value from the loot explosion either. Like, when you take this, you need to kill stuff to get loot, right? So we haven't killed anything. Yeah, rolling for days makes sense. There might be some weird tech with find your center with Smeech. Maybe it works. I haven't tried that out before because it's a very specific unit plus augment combination, but it does seem pretty interesting. But I can't complain with rolling for days. If you're doing a reroll comp, well, getting free rerolls is really nice, right? So that makes perfect sense. But back to the loot explosion, like, you need to actually kill units to get loot. And if we kill no units because we were loot streaking, it makes the augment even worse. So if I were to update my guessing of the average placement, maybe in stage 2, I would have guessed like a 5th at best, maybe like a 6, maybe 5.5. Now I'd guess maybe like a, I don't know, it's looking pretty bad. 6.5. He still has time to repair the game and get like hit everything, get a ton of Smeeches or whatever, get perfect hand of justices for the rest of the game. There's still a chance that happens, but I'm not feeling too good. The one thing they do have going for them is that they do have a Camille too. Hopefully that stabilizes for this stage, but the rest of their team is 1 star. And if they built the Sterix, maybe it helps out a little more, because I don't know what else they're going to do with these items. Like, I would have just built the hat and the Sterix and went with the Sterix Titan Resolve BT combo on my Smeech. And then with the hat, have Echo. When you play Scrap, you have 2 choices. Well, first of all, you're always going to be playing around Corki. He's going to be your main guy. But then after that, you could play around either Gangplank with attack damage items or Echo and Rumble with ability power items. So obviously, the Echo and Rumble combo works better, but it revolves around hitting a legendary unit. So that doesn't happen all the time, right? So if you are able to make it to the super late game, which on something like Scuttle Puddle is very possible because you get so much gold, right? I would try to play around the Rumble. However, since we're low life, maybe we can't make it there. So you have to kind of do a balancing act there. But if you're going for Rumble and Echo, go for rods, because the AP can be made into whatever items you want. Like, I think Crown Guard's pretty decent, Ionic's good, Hat's good, like all the rod items are good, right? If you're playing more for the mid game, get more attack damage items because you could itemize both Gangplank and your Corki. A lot of people like using like a utility Gangplank, so they put like Red Buff and Last Whisper on Gangplank, and then something like IE Giant Slayer on Corki if you are able to get like a ton of items like this game, because we're on What Doesn't Kill You, and we also have Scuttle Puddle giving us a lot of components. So we're probably going to be itemizing a lot of people this game. Honestly, we have room for doing whatever. I don't like that this person does not have the team planner set up, but maybe they're playing this comp so much that they don't need the team planner. Their team planner is built into their into their brain or something, right? So I would personally just add that just in case I miss the Corki. There, I want to keep the powder pair because you have removers and you don't really need to remove too many things, so you could kind of afford to just like use it and be chill with it. But yeah, hat on Echo. I'd probably just build the Sterix. Yeah, glove on Echo. Like, what else is the belt really building, right? I mean, I guess it could be Warmogs on Garen, but getting the immediate power spike. I know Sterix isn't like the best item ever, but you want to just save life, right? And getting perfect items versus having more gold because you're healthier and living longer, I think is well worth the trade-off, because getting Smeech 3 or being one-off Smeech 3 is the world of a difference. And when you have to do your all-in roll down like 1 or 2 rounds earlier because you didn't slam an item in the early game, that does not feel great, right? So that's why I would prefer just slamming the items and going from that. Also, we do have loot explosion, so we want to make sure we actually win rounds so we could get actual loot from killing units like that, because you do not get it unless you actually kill a unit. Oh, nice. We got a Scar. Very beautiful stuff. Scar's very good for Firelight. Getting that early Garen actually makes sense in this game because we've had Garen love affairs for all the players we kind of looked at recently. But it actually makes sense in this game because you play Scar and you play the Garen. They're both Watchers. You also get Firelight. Selling that Smeech, or no, selling that Steb perfectly makes sense. Don't really need to play that in this comp, and we are actually in a pretty decent position. Leveling up there, I think, is also fine. A lot of people are like, oh, don't spend the gold before the neutral round, and I say that a lot too, but I think the situation is actually okay. It's not the best. Actually, I take all that back. We leveled up to play second Garen, 1 star. Okay, it's not a... I take that back immediately. Maybe we could have just saved it because I don't think he's going to make that much of a difference in this game or this fight. Maybe I'm wrong, though, and he actually did make a difference. He did not. Maybe he did. That actually... If this powder kills it, then it makes a difference, right? And powder did not. Yeah, normally when you level up to put an extra unit in, you do it because you have something actually worth it to put it in. So I would have just saved the extra gold for the roll down because then it helps me get my Smeech a little easier if I am going for Smeech 3, which I think we do want to do. Because while 2 gold itself doesn't matter because we would have like reached level 7 anyways had we not leveled up. Or actually it's 4 gold for spending on the level up, right? While 4 gold itself might not make that much of a difference, 4 gold combined with like other econ mistakes such as like losing the interest from before, that will make a difference, you know, because then it ends up being like 5 gold or 6 gold or 7 gold or 8 gold, sometimes even up to 10. We've counted some gold mistakes from other players in previous games that added up to like 40 gold that they were missing by the time they reached stage 4. So you don't want to do that. Oh my God. All right, so all our predictions are wrong now. Everyone who predicted below a 6 is just completely wrong now because they hit Jinx on 4-1 at level 7. My God, why can't my games go like this? Okay, they get a Smeech too. Yeah, stop rolling. Yep. Redo the items. Yep. Put the items on Smeech and Echo. Yep. I mean, okay. They kinda, yeah, sure. They may or may not have wasted the item remover. I think we could have just kept it, the Hand of Justice on Echo. I know it's good on Smeech, and if we are playing around Smeech, we want him to have better items, but maybe at that time saving the remover is fine because Echo makes use of the Hand of Justice just great. Double Bloodthirster also isn't that bad either. It doesn't make that much of a difference. None of this matters because they got 5 Ambusher already, and they have a Jinx already, so what do they want? Mentorship's pretty good. Malicious Monetization, if you want a YOLO, you could do that. Their team's actually decent right now because they have a very good power spike. Sisters. Ooh, is it Sisters? I just did a data check and it is not Sisters. So you're probably just going Mentorship. Bulky Buddies probably don't want that if you run a Garen. They probably shouldn't even offer Bulky Buddies if you have Garen on your board because you can only put 1 unit next to Garen if you do that, but you want 2 units next to him, so it's a little awkward. But all in all, like, yeah, just do a slow roll, rinse and repeat that every single turn, and see if we could get Smeech 3. It was arguable that maybe we just chill and do not roll because we didn't have many copies of Smeech, and we could have played around the Echo instead of the Smeech. So we could have just waited, see if we natural more Smeeches, and then if we do, we roll down. If not, we go level 8, play around Echo. Both options probably would have worked out fine, but I prefer my version a little more. But if you rolled, like, I'm not going to harp on that. Like, it makes perfect sense to roll as well because you're like, hey, tunnel visioning on Smeech reroll, so it's like I just roll at this time, and yeah, I can't really fault that, right? But we are a little low. We're at 42 life now. Good thing we didn't take Malicious Monetization, right? But this person's just hit their 3-star already with 50 gold, so that's actually incredible. I don't know how they do that. There's the powder. Okay, re-rolling for Loris a little bit. Normally you'd play Loris at this time because you don't have Jinx yet, but since we have the Jinx, we don't need Loris. Okay, there's Smeech. Nice. So, okay, pretty good stuff. we would have naturaled the Smeeches if we had waited, it looks like, from those rolls. So now we for sure commit to Smeech 3. So find a time to all in. It's not going to be now. If we lose this round, we could, that's tough. Maybe we could wait till stage 5. We're probably going to win this round, so we're going to be pretty safe. So yeah, if you win this round, for sure, just wait till stage 5. If we lost this, we would have to scout around and see how strong the other people we're going to face are. So one thing to keep in mind there. What item do we want off this carousel? We have a chain vest on our Echo, so we want to complete that item. It could be a Titan's Resolve, not my favorite item on him. I'd rather have like a Hand of Justice, but unfortunately this game we only have one Hand of Justice. We could just go for a glove and pray, because like any glove item is really nice, but Titans, you can't really argue about that. Edge of Night Echo probably also works. So either of those items work fine. They're both on 5 cost units, so yeah, just get the Titans, 5 cost. Pretty nice stuff. Sell the Mordekaiser, put the Titans on your Echo, re-roll down to 50 gold. That should be the next turn. Always try to simplify your gameplay and kind of think ahead when you are playing, so that you don't like make a rush decision. We always, like, if you spend more time in something, you're gonna do better in it, right? So if you take your time in your decision making, it's gonna be a bit better than if you just think about it on the spot. And this player definitely did plan for this from the beginning. They're like, oh, I'm going to do this, 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 and that. And it shows, you know, because I could tell they stuck to a game plan, or they chose a game plan and they definitely are sticking to it. This is in contrast with other players we saw in the past in the lower ranks, where they're kind of all over the place. It seems like they're just like thinking the first thing that comes up in their head every single turn, instead of planning before and then executing on that later on. But their team is doing pretty decently. Smeech and Echo are hitting the backline pretty reliably. Very nice stuff. We don't even have Smeech 3 yet. Let's see what anomaly they pick. On reroll comps, as we said before, you are pretty picky on your anomaly. Invisibility, I think, is going to be the best one on Smeech, but there are a couple of other ones that work pretty fine. Gain, okay. You definitely want something that adds to his damage, or like invisibility. This one isn't that bad, but I think I would prefer something for Smeech, to be honest, because I think we are going to be playing it around him a little more. We do have the Echo too, so that definitely does help out a lot, but personally for me, I would have been a little more greedy, but this one is perfectly fine. Like, I can't really fault this one. But at the same time, this isn't like a best in slot for Echo either, even though I think it is like pretty solid. Wow, they got Camille 3. They removed the items, swapped it over. We're not going to have enough items this game, so it's going to be a little bit iffy until we get that. I do like the aggressive item remover, though, because they're going to get a new one in the next round, so they could play this for now, be aggressive with it, and then once they hit Smeech 3, swap it on over. So I like that a lot. Pretty good little micro play. A lot of other players that we saw in the past wouldn't even think about doing something like this, so I like this a lot. I think this person is playing like a diamond player, and I think if not for like the augment picking in the very beginning, I think they definitely could make it to Masters. I'm not just saying that. I think they've been doing like pretty decently apart from the augment pick in the beginning. And like, I know they have been getting lucky this game, but they've been like making use of the luck, if that kind of makes sense. Like, I can't really complain about too much. Like, yeah, they pre-leveled then rolled. Yeah, they what's it called, like leveled up before the neutral round when they played like an extra Garen, like a second Garen. It's not the best, but like those aren't like game breaking decisions, you know. Oh, we get another Echo. Yeah, we could definitely play 2 Echoes this game. I'd probably hold on to the Zeres, but yeah, definitely roll down here, get the Smeech 3. Honestly, like a lot of people like running Loris, but I like running double Echoes or even just the Firelights instead. I think it's a little more value at level 8, but it doesn't really matter that much. We could go for, yeah, Reforger, sure. Bow. We could go maybe, yeah, sure. Yeah, put the items on Smeech, Titans, Hodge, and then, yeah, Titans, Camille. We could get a healing item for her later on, and then she'll be golden. This person's got a Warwick. I don't think he's going to do that much. Maybe we don't run 2 Echoes because we can't afford that many items. So if we get enough gold to make interest, I would just sell this Echo Again, the reason why is because on this carousel, we're probably going to get an item for our Camille, and then we just will have like a Echo with no item. So I'd rather play the Victor or this Loris instead. So, or even like a Zeri. All of those options work. And yeah, but don't need to hold on to this other Echo if we lose interest from it. But we're probably, leveling up this turn. Perfect. And we are chilling. I'm very impressed with the late game from this player. I like it a lot. It's nothing too complicated either. It's just like, if this, then that, if that, then this. There's no like extreme cooking that's necessary to do what this player's doing. It's just logical TFT, you know? Unfortunately, this other player is Victor, but we're able to get pretty much a perfect win against them. That's huge. They're probably going to do really well this game. It's really, a lot of this is thanks to hitting a Jinx randomly. I won't deny that. And other games that will not happen. But again, a lot of people throw games like this too, where they do get the units that they want. So just because someone's getting lucky doesn't mean that their success is like purely due to their luck, right? Like there are a lot of people who get large inheritances and then 2 years later they just magically don't have that inheritance anymore because they just like squandered it. There's this one example. Should I say it? Yeah, screw it, I'll say it. I know this one person, he got like 750K around their inheritance, and he's doing fine. That number has grown since he's gotten it. But he has a friend who got like a 200K inheritance, and 2 years later, they don't have it anymore. So it's like, is the first person luckier than the second because they got more money? Sure, you could say that, but they still also made better decisions than the first person because they still have the money, and the other person, or they actually have more money now, and the other person does not. So it's kind of what's going on in this game. Got really lucky, but still making the most of it. So let's get a Camille item here. Bloodthirster, Hand of Justice. Hand of Justice is going to be my choice. If those get taken, probably go for the Giant Slayer. A tank item isn't that bad of an idea either. Maybe like a Warmogs on Garen or the Redemption on Garen. But obviously, since the Hand of Justice is there, just pick it up. Very good carousel. The best, some may say. And yeah, that's another thing I notice about these games. I don't know if people are purposely sending me their games that like they get lucky in, and like it works both ways, because sometimes people get lucky and then they're like, oh, I don't know what to do when this happens. And then sometimes people just send in their like 3-star legendary game or something like that. But most of these carousels are like really good for a lot of these players. Am I crazy in thinking that? I swear like the average carousel is not this good. Like the scrap person got the scrap emblem. This person, they got everything off carousel. I swear mine aren't that good when I play, but that's besides the point. So this belt's not going to do that much because we need another one. But yeah, go level 9 now. Add in some random unit, probably going to be a 6 cost because it is Victor's Galaxy after all. This person is swapping up their board a little bit. I don't think the swaps matter that much. The only thing I would do a little differently is on the edge, I like to put my Loris and my Scar because Garen has to be in the center somewhere to buff up 2 units. So you want Garen buffing up your Smeech and your Echo. And then after that, on the left and right edge, I put Loris or Scar. I know some people like putting Loris in the middle somewhere because he reduces damage taken for adjacent units. However, like a lot of your units jump around. Oh my God, Victor. A lot of your units jump around anyway, so he's not going to be giving that buff to anyone. And you just want him like tanking damage so that your more important units don't get focused down too quickly. So I kind of like that setup more. And since both Smeech and Echo jump around a little bit, they're never going to wrap. So wrapping is when your unit on the edge like goes to their corner unit, because you have a bunch of melees that like occupy each tile, so they are forced to go to the corner, which is obviously very good, right? But since Echo and Smeech jump around a lot, you don't really need them to wrap, so their positioning is not that important. So interesting item choice here. Probably Edge of Night on the Camille, honestly. Yeah, just let her live a little longer. You could go like second Titans too, but I think at this point in the game, Edge of Night in the late game, it's a really good item because people do a ton of damage. So her just getting a couple seconds of like free hitting, definitely well worth it. Victor level up is the obvious choice here. Nothing complicated about that. Again, this person got lucky by hitting it, but they're still doing the correct thing. We do have mentorship up, but we don't need to maximize the mentorship buff. I mean, if you do the setup that I kind of talked about, you kind of get like one more value on it. So it is a little bit more worth it, but it's okay if you miss out on it. Like a lot of these positioning augments, you don't need to get like super maximum value off of them all the time. Just getting better positioning based on whatever your matchup is going to be a little bit more important. But again, in this comp, positioning isn't like super duper duper important because your units kind of jump around a lot. And Smeech in particular, you can't even aim where he jumps because he jumps towards like the unit with the least amount of items. So it just depends where they position, not so much where you position. Echo, you generally want like same side as their primary carry because sometimes he just snipes them. So that's one thing to kind of consider, but he'll eventually make it to the back anyways, so it's not that important. Oh, are we going to get Jinx too? That'd be absolutely huge. Like, we don't really need this extra Echo. I'd probably chill a little bit, maybe wait till I lose one more round, then do a hard roll down. But can we even make it to level 10 to play an extra unit? Was 80 some gold to level up? We have 40. We have a bunch of gold on our bench too, so we could sell that to level up. Because like we don't have items for Jinx, so I don't know how much she's actually going to do even if we do hit her. But it is possible. Like, it's kind of hard to consider what to kind of do here. Man, Speech is just absolutely destroying everyone right now. It's actually beautiful to watch. And Camille with the Edge of Night lived a little. Very nice. Yeah, this is looking like a first if I had to guess now, right? But I'd sell the 2 Heimers. Sell the Echo here, make 50. That way, the 1% chance I could make it to 80 gold. I level up, drop in this Mel, and then, yeah, that's all we need to do. This shop isn't that interesting. Scouting around, I like that. Oh, wow, this person has Warwick too? Is that what I saw? That is crazy. Twitch 2, perfect items in the back. Okay, well, not super perfect, but very good items. I like that they are trying to like position a little bit. Again, I don't think it matters that much, and I would probably protect my Echo a little bit more, but it's still good to do nonetheless. Yeah, putting the belt on the powder. We probably should have done that earlier, if anything, because we have scrap, right? So kind of forgot about that, but it's okay. Like, is powder getting an item actually going to change that much? Probably not, right? But this Twitch with the Warwick. Oh, it's actually a Warwick 1. For some reason, I thought it was Warwick 2. But Warwick's got pretty good items. Maybe he actually ends up carrying. I have seen it happen, and he actually is eating a lot of units. Come on, Smeech, finish that off. Nice. Or actually, that was Echo finishing that off. Yeah, this is looking like a first place now. All our predictions are probably wrong. If someone got the prediction right, let me know. I think you're lying if you did, because this game was looking really bleak until naturaling Echo and getting like natural Jinx and getting everything we could have ever asked for off of Carousel. I probably would have taken the Spear of Shojin here, put that on Jinx, but they went for the Thieves Gloves. Thieves is fine too on Jinx, like both items kind of work. Oh, they're actually going to put it on Victor. I actually don't like putting items on Victor. Like, we can check his damage chart if you really want to, but the one good thing about Thieves on Victor is that he makes use of both AD and AP pretty effectively. So in terms of like making use of any item, which is what Thieves Glove kind of gives, like he does do a pretty good job of that. But I don't know. Let's check the damage chart. Let's see if he actually does anything with the item. Like, granted, he's got like pretty garbage items this round, so we're not going to judge him too harshly. But another thing you could do is put the Thieves Gloves, or buy a random unit from your shop, put the Thieves Gloves on them, and then based on what you get, put that on whoever you want. So this game, we probably would have put it on the Loris or the Scar because they're 2 tank items, right? And then afterwards, you could use your remover and get a little more value out of that game. But okay, Victor didn't even cast this game, right? But yeah, he does nothing, right? So it's like the items aren't really worth that much on him. You use him because he CCs people, not so much that he does damage. Wow, 2 Echoes here. So now I'm thinking, take out Loris, put in this Echo, remove the Thieves Gloves, put it on Echo, and play 2 Echoes. That's what I would do here. It's not going to be game breaking or anything because, you know, Loris is still doing something, but it's just not doing that much, in my opinion. I mean, it's given some buffs to Camille. It is a Camille 3 items, but 2 Echoes hits so hard. Like, it's just one of my favorite combos in the game right now for like weird niche combos. This person's got Warwick as well, but they have a Thieves Gloves, not as good as items as the other person that had the experiments before. So I think we do just steamroll this round, right? And is this Renata going to actually kill this? Wow, maybe we don't win this. This is actually tough. So Renata kind of is good against this comp because she shields everyone. So all that like random AoE damage is kind of negated because she kind of shields everyone. So if you attack them while they have the shield, it's not going to be as effective. I don't know why they used the item remover on the powder there, because we probably could have used it for other stuff. But let's, because like who else is this belt going on? So Shojin, yeah, perfect sense on the Jinx. And yeah, level up, drop in Mel. I mean, just roll down here as much as you can, right? Like, probably could get Echo 3, because you take around 20 damage in stage 7, so we probably don't have many lives left, if any. Probably should give mentorship to this Jinx as well from the 6 cost unit. That way she gets an attack speed buff. I definitely would do that. Put the Victor next to her. I know there's like AoEs and stuff, but this other person doesn't really have an Elise. Normally you don't want to group up because of Elises, but oh, the game bugged out, but they're still fighting. But just having them together, you just get a free attack speed buff. When is that ever a bad thing? But maybe this Jinx makes a difference this fight. We do get another item there. Oh no, it's just gold. Come on. Boom. That did 0 damage. Holy cow. Oh no. Do they lose this game? I swear they could have won. I mean, they have a lot of gold on their bench, which is a little unfortunate because I was 48 gold at level 10. Probably could have gotten Echo 3. And maybe since you lost the previous round, I would have experimented with the double Echo instead of whatever board we had before with the Loris. But overall, decent play apart from the early game. Like, I think augment choice, just like, the best way to practice what augments to pick is to watch some like high level player play and then just go to their stage 2-1 and pause and then see what augments you would pick and whether you would level up or not or do whatever. But let's head on into the master game. Spoiler alert, it's going to be a scrap game and we're on Scuttle Puddle, so that means that there's going to be a lot of loot this game. Pretty good for scrap because the more items you have, the more value you get from your scrap buff. So pretty solid comp right now. Also, a lot of people ask me every patch, it's like, you know how I make those videos where I'm like, oh, I only played one comp and I gained 200 LP or 500 LP or whatever it is. This patch, it's going to be, if you're only going to play one comp, it is going to be scrap. So if you want to be a D-Gen scrap player, like, this game's going to be pretty important because this person is in Masters. Let's see how they do it. They said in their comment that they're just playing scrap every single game, so I'm assuming they're going to be pretty good at scrap. So let's see how they kind of navigate that. It's going to be definitely a lot different from the gold player we saw before, but we are playing against stronger players, so we have to also keep that in mind in our calculation, because I think the gold player ended up placing what, like 3rd or something like that. I don't remember. It was something good though. But decent items to start off with. We could build a lot of things for the scrap comp with this. Also on Scuttle Puddle, sometimes people like to sell and make 10 here. I think it actually, if you're hard forcing a comp, you should do it. And in this specific situation, we probably should have benched the Lux so that we could sell it to make interest. But with this start, personally, 2 sorcerers, both 2-star, I'd look towards like an AP comp right now. Like, they sold it anyway, so if they were going to force, they should have just sold it last turn. They lost out on 1 gold there. Unfortunate. It is a bit of a weird portal or encounter to kind of see, so you don't get this every game. So if you forget, sometimes like you accidentally put your 3 gold unit into play instead of your 1 gold unit, it happens, right? But we are down 1 gold already, so I will say that. And we had like pretty good start for like AP stuff, right? Like, we have 2 stars for AP units and a Nashor's Tooth on our bench. Like, I probably would have went an AP comp if it was me, but you know, it is not me. It is someone who forces scrap every game. So we're probably going to get, I would not get what doesn't kill you here. It's, oh, okay. So this is a problem with hard forcing a comp. Like, we gave up 2 stars for fun. And then now we're just like lose streak hard forcing into a level 8 comp, which is a little risky. It's possible to do, because we could probably do like maybe a 60, 70, maybe even an 80 gold roll down on stage 4-1, because we're going to have a lot of gold here. Like we got 5 item components, so I don't really love the lose streak openers because we don't have that much gold. Like, we have gold because it's Scuttle Puddle, but had this been Scuttle Puddle and only 3 items, then we would have had like even more gold, you know, and it would make the lose streak opener much more worth it. But we have a decent amount of gold for like an average game, but not for this specific game. So I would have much preferred having the 2-star units, build a Gnasher's Tooth, and then take like some random augment that kind of helps us in the early game. We didn't have to like completely sack it. So that's a cost you take when you only force one comp or only play one comp. So in order to make up for that cost, you have to play it really, really, really well. So let's see if this player does do it. Again, in their description to me, they said that they only play scrap. So maybe they are just like super experts on scrap, and then little pitfalls like that don't really affect them too much. So we'll have to see how they kind of alleviate that. So what I would be doing right now is fixing up my team planner to get all the scrap units into the team planner, plus whatever flex units you kind of play around with. Okay, I like that, selling to make interest. The Ziggs is a scrap unit, and I did say before, don't sell units that belong in your comp, but there are exceptions to that rule, and I think this is one of them where you can make interest, and they're not going to be winning for like the foreseeable future, and getting a 2-star 2 cost isn't going to change anything. Like, the Ziggs isn't a critical unit, whereas in previous games that we were looking at, Aurelia was a critical unit, Nunu was like a pretty important unit, but this Ziggs is just like a whatever. So I'm perfectly fine with selling that in this case. But this early game's gonna hurt a lot. We're probably gonna be like 68 health by the time we reach golems, which is not ideal because then you have to find some way to stabilize before you reach stage 4, which kind of griefs your rolling a little bit. You won't have as much gold to roll down with, but they're going to have like a lot of econ, so maybe it doesn't matter. I don't always do guessing challenges of like what placements each player is going to make, but last game I did it, and because I think it was like a interesting time to do it. And this game, I think we should also try to guess what place this person's going to get based on the start. I have the answer already because the person told me in their description. So I personally will not participate because that'd be cheating, but let me know your thoughts down below. But if, I mean, the stuff I'm listing out, like of what happened this game already, like obviously I'm not thinking too great so far, but anything can happen because you could just end up hitting later on or missing later on. But 40 gold, pretty good. What item do we want here? Probably a glove, get an IE. Belts are also very useful if you're hard forcing this comp because you do end up building like, or not building, you use the component for like guard breaker and the other stuff, but it's a no-brainer Infinity Edge here. It's just Corki's primary item, and it also helps you stabilize later on. So get a bunch of gold here, that's good. We're not going to win this round, so we could play 4 units, sure. Like, even with the 2-star, we have no synergies in, so unless someone's open forwarding, we're still gonna lose. To be safe, though, I would still scout around, and I actually would not build the items yet. Okay, they scouted around, so it's safe to build the items, but I would scout first before building the items, just in case there is someone who's like all 1-star. Like, they're not even trying to purposely open fort, but they just have a weak team. Sometimes you run into those players, in which case sometimes building that IE and slamming the bow might end up winning you the round by accident. So you have to be very careful when you do that. Just scout first. It's just a good habit to get into. This player's master, so I would assume that they normally do that, but it was just like lapse of judgment on this specific case. Like, it happens to everyone, right? Like, even if you look at like rank 10 players, like they'll say like, oh crap, I forgot to do this. You know, it's like one of those moments, like we all miss something. Like, we're humans, right? We don't play perfectly every single time. But okay, what item component did they get? Rod. Okay, not the best, not ideal, but it's okay. And we'll notice already, like, remember the previous scrap player, they built Rage Blade. I guarantee you this player will not build the Rage Blade. Okay, I got worried for a moment because they dragged the bow down, and then I thought they were reaching for the rod and proving me wrong, but they held off, which is good, right? Because yeah, they probably play this comp a lot, and they know that Rage Blade is not a good item on Corki. They'd much rather have like Last Whisper, Red Buff, but again, Red Buff kind of optional in the scrap comp because you get a lot of anti-heal from Powder and Rumble, but sometimes you don't get Rumble. So you only really build it if you get like a ton of bows, but it is like okay. Giant Slayer probably going to be decent also, but like most people are going to save for the Last Whisper, and we're not in a rush right now. We have what doesn't kill you, so we definitely want to be losing a lot of rounds. Didn't I say 68 health? It was actually 69, so pretty close guess by me already. I guess you've played this game too much when you could kind of predict things like that. They're going to pre-level a little bit. Yeah, we could probably reach level 6 off of this, and that's going to be in a really good spot econ-wise, but everyone has a good econ spot. I generally don't like econ openers when you do have Scuttle Puddle because it matters a little less, I think, but I mean, it's not bad to have, but it's just like not the ideal conditions. But let's see what they get here. Yep, level up. 2 Silcos. Oh my god. We got 8. Like, these are useless, right? Because we're going scrap. It's so sad, but maybe we could play it temporarily, like play a Dominator board temporarily. Sure, why not? Like, we also have the Ziggs. Yeah, IE Gangplank, good. Bowen Gangplank, good. Can we build any AP items on Silka right now? Like, I don't really think we need to. I think we'd rather save the other stuff. Like, when you play scrap, you want tank items and you want Corki items, and then you have to save all your components for other stuff. So it's actually a little bit tricky to kind of build around. So you don't want to just slam a lot of random items, but having this many items on bench does concern me a bit. When you do play What Doesn't Kill You, you want to lose 8 rounds. So he needs to lose the next 3 rounds to get the extra component. Sometimes you could get away with 12, but that's like really risky. You have to win every single round after that. So if no one's high rolling, you could get away with it. But most times you just go 8 loss streak and then kind of go from there. Restart mission's interesting, but we kind of want to lose the next 2 rounds. Wait, we won a round? Oh, that's not good. Health is wealth, no. Maybe teaming up. Item collector isn't bad either because we have a lot of items right now. It's probably teaming up. Yeah, not rig shop. Only one choice here, unfortunately. So, oh my god, 2 Twitches. I would pivot into Twitch here. Like, I think it would be crazy not to. We have a Mundo. We have 2 Twitches. We have Rageblade IE. If you go scrap from here, like, you're just... you might need to seek some help, like, in terms of your scrap addiction. Like, I don't, yeah. Just, okay. It's a free country. It's a free world. Do what you want. I would buy the Twitches here and go Twitch, because it's not like you have scrap emblem from the start, right? You have What Doesn't Kill You, and you have teaming up. So, I mean, you just have 2 Twitches in your shop. I don't know. At least use it as an item holder, you know? Yeah, okay, this is forcing Gon a little too hard. They are a scrap expert. To be fair, they have not seen many scrap items or units yet, so it's not fair to judge them quite yet because their scrap knowledge might come out in the next couple of rounds, but I don't know if they're going to be able to survive till that point. I mean, we skipped 2 Twitches when we had perfectly fine items for them. And we had Mundo. Like, I would kill for these games. Like, all these games I'm looking at so far today, I would kill to have these types of roles in my games. Like, I don't get it all the time. So, like, this is just a very clear direction for me. I don't know. It's like you have 2 items and 2 of the copies of your champions in early stage 3. You're always going to hit Twitch 2 at that point. And you have the 4-cost tank that you need. I just don't know what other sign you need to go for Twitch. Maybe 3 Twitches and 2 Mundos have to show up in your shop all at once at level 7 for you to go it. I don't know. So when you play scrap, you have 2 choices. Well, first of all, you're always going to be playing around Corki. He's going to be your main guy. But then after that, you could play around either Gangplank with attack damage items or Echo and Rumble with ability power items. So obviously, the Echo and Rumble combo works better, but it revolves around hitting a legendary unit. So that doesn't happen all the time, right? So if you are able to make it to the super late game, which on something like Scuttle Puddle is very possible because you get so much gold, right? I would try to play around the Rumble. However, since we're low life, maybe we can't make it there. So you have to kind of do a balancing act there. But If you're going for Rumble and Echo, go for rods because the AP can be made into whatever items you want. Like I think Crown Guard's pretty decent, Ionic's good, Hat's good. Like all the rod items are good, right? If you're playing more for the mid game, get more attack damage items because you could itemize both Gangplank and your Corki. A lot of people like using like a utility Gangplank, so they put like Red Buff and Last Whisper on Gangplank and then something like IE Giant Slayer on Corki if you are able to get like a ton of items like this game, because we're on What Doesn't Kill You, and we also have Scuttle Puddle giving us a lot of components, so we're probably going to be itemizing a lot of people this game. Honestly, we have room for doing whatever. I don't like that this person does not have the team planner set up, but maybe they're playing this comp so much that they don't need the team planner. Their team planner is built into their into their brain or something, right? So I would personally just add that just in case I miss the Corki. But team planner is just a good habit to get into at any level because I think it's that important. So just item remove this Gangplank, put the items on Corki. Do not sell. What? Okay, I must be missing something here because I'm assuming this guy's a scrap expert because they only play scrap. But you have 2 item removers. You're about to get a 3rd one. What are we saving them for? We're going to sell the Mundo so we can move the Ionic Spark. We're going to sell the Steb so we can move the belt to whoever. Why are we not item removing Gangplank and saving him? Because we're going 6 scrap, guaranteed. And I know we are guaranteed going for scrap because we skipped 2 Twitches with an IE built already. So why are we selling Gangplank? Okay, so I don't have my hopes up high anymore. I know they won this round or whatever, but I'm surprised a master player going for a vertical comp is selling a unit that is good for or used in the comp. Very surprised by that. I'd probably pick up Savika. Okay. I guess if you don't have Gangplank, you don't need Savika. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I would have played Savika there. She drops gold sometimes, and she's just like a good legendary unit in general. And you have Pit Fighter if you had the Gangplank, which you probably will get after this level 8 roll down, right? Am I crazy in thinking that? So I probably would have kept her just in case you don't get anything else to put in. It's not going to cost you any interest because you get gold from these little scuttle puddles. So let's see what else they do. Okay, this is a lot of loot. Okay, this is going to be a confusing roll down, but let's see what they do. See, they have like 70 gold. Didn't I say 70 or 80 gold at this point in the game for the roll down? I am a profit. No, I just play the game too much. Yeah, Echo in. This is why I like setting up the team planner. It's really hard rolling down 50 gold, let alone 60 or 70. So that's why the team planner is so helpful. Okay, Gangplank. Ooh, Gangplank 2. They hit anyways. Not punished. But I still would have kept it because, like, it's just an item remover, you know? Like, okay, belt on that, good. Belt on Gangplank, probably. Okay, rod on that, good. Ionic on that, good. What are we doing with these other items? We probably want to build... If you want to itemize Elise, you could do Protector's Vow on her. We want to make sure we have enough components for everyone. I think we will, but... let's just wait for the next round, kind of reset a bit. Like, that roll down was very big, right? I'm not going to harp on this player for not doing the full roll down and doing all the items, especially with all these champion duplicators that showed up. Okay, not loot explosion. It could be malicious monetization, but I don't want to go double econ. Okay, powered. Yeah, that's incredible for scrap because you have so many shields. Okay, finish the roll down now. Okay, nothing. See what I mean with the, okay, nothing. No rumble. Okay, that's going to be rough. I won't deny this is a pretty unfortunate roll down. But, oh, geez, that's really ugly. Like, I don't blame. Okay, let's let them finish cooking before I say anything. Okay. Okay. Good. I would have Negatron the Ziggs, but that's fine. I would have belted the Gangplank. Okay, good enough. I mean, they're in a rush, right? But I think Negatron on Ziggs guarantee the adaptive on him, and then belt on the Gangplank so that he guarantees Guard Breaker. Pretty solid stuff. We also need to frontline the Corki, but not the end of the world. So, about the champion duplicator, I'm a little greedy. Maybe I would have waited one round because we have a pair of Echo, Corki, and Elise. We have 3 4-cost pairs. Like, oh my god, I guess if you just hit in the next round, it doesn't matter. But I would have waited to hit 1 or 2 of them and then use the last one on the last person, or at least hit one of them first and then duplicate the other. Because then again, Corki is contested, so it's tough to say. I would have hit one of them and then duplicate another probably. We are low, but probably could have afforded one more loss maybe, just based on that weird specific situation that we had. It's not the end of the world, I guess. And then they just naturaled in the next round. This is what I mean. Like, I would kill for these types of games where, like, I just natural my units in the next shop after making a decision. Like, I know they probably should have hit on the roll down beforehand because they rolled, like, 70 gold. But they didn't, so I'm judging what happened afterwards, right? Let's see what they get on Carousel. If there's a Rumble, I'm just bolting for it because he's just that important for this comp. And no Rumble, unfortunate. Maybe get some AD item play around the Gangplank a little bit. Like, I would have probably just gotten the Jinx. They're going to go for the Bow. Yeah, Bow also works. Red buff on Gangplank, solid. So we could put him in the back line. We could item remove the Trundle later on, put the belt on Gangplank. Or if we hit Rumble, we just sell the Trundle. And then that kind of solves that issue too. Ezreal's pretty decent. Some people don't even run Artillerist with Scrap, but it is good to play in the meantime while you have it. If you have a 2-star 3-cost, like, sure, why not? Had we had the Savika, would I run Savika instead? If I needed the gold, probably, because Ezreal's costing us 9 gold right now. Savika only costs 5. I'd probably backline the Gangplank at this point. Most people run Gangplank in the backline just because his backline version is much better than his frontline. I know you miss out on the Scrap shielding value because he doesn't take damage in the back, but I think it would be worth it. So I'd probably just switch the Ziggs and the Gangplank and put maybe the Elise on the outside. Maybe even Powder in the front line. I guess she's 1-star, so she might just die beforehand. But you do have a lot of Scrap items, so she's getting a pretty large shield. Maybe she could live for 1 cast. You really just need her to cast once. That's all you can really expect from Powder. All right, Elise got a pretty solid stun there. Corki jumped to the back. You got the guard breaker from the lucky items, perfect. I mean, that's not skill. That's just always happens. That's why we say in the guide, like, put belt on your Corki because it'll guarantee 1 item. And yeah, looking pretty good. What did they get here? Probably anomaly on the Corki. Gained, I mean, that one can't be that bad, right? I don't know if we have enough time to stack. I kind of want immediate power because I don't know if we could stack throughout the game, but I'd probably take that. You don't have to roll, right? So it kind of goes with the rule we talked about before. Whenever you're playing like 4-cost comp or like level 8, fast 9 comps, you try not to be too picky on the anomaly. Just take whatever. If you're doing a reroll, you'd be a little bit more picky. Okay, this guy's got 4 echoes. Uh-oh, we're probably not going to hit echo 2, right? This game is looking a little rough, though, because we had Econ Augment, and we didn't hit a 1-star 5-cost of Rumble, so we also are going to have a very tough time going level 9. So we're essentially kind of like down in Augment right now. I know it gave us some components, so that's okay, but like in this situation, I don't think the placement's going to be that great, to be honest. Just because everyone else is going to be level 9 most likely, or everyone actually hit everything on level 8. So we're facing one of the 2 players, like 2 types of players. The guy who hit everything and the guy who's going level 9 and going to outpower us anyways. So hopefully we get enough gold to go level 9, maybe on stage 5-2. Might have to be 5-5. I don't think we have enough money. But if we get a lucky win here and there, you could make it there. Okay, I like this. Benching the units so that Corki can do more damage. That way he could stack up his anomaly a little faster. I think it works on these. This is a newer augment, I believe, so I'm not 1,000% sure on checking on it. But I'm going to trust that it is the case based on Riot Games tooltips. But they're going to opt to, okay, belt on Gangplank, good. We just need to backline him now. Rod. Okay, who are we putting that on? I guess you could put it on, yeah, sure, Jeweled Gauntlet. It's going to be for Rumble, but maybe we would have, that's tough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components. Okay, yeah, we're gonna probably put that on Rumble. You could probably put that on Powder for now and then swap it over to Rumble later once we hit. I don't think we're hitting a Rumble though. Just a little too poor this game. Very nice one there. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. We need like a lucky win like that, and then maybe we could wait till 5-5. Like, losing 2 rounds does sound a little rough, but oh, can we use Jace at all? Okay, item remove. Yeah, you could put on Echo also. It's not that necessary on Echo because you already get the crit from the Ambusher trait. So I would have preferred, honestly, a guard breaker on Echo would not have been bad because Belt was another option from that item Anvil. So we could have done like guard breaker on Echo. He gets the crit anyways from Ambusher, and then he would have been chilling. It would have been a little bit more value than Jeweled Gauntlet, but a Jeweled Gauntlet isn't bad. It belongs on Rumble, just not so much on Echo, but we don't have Rumble, so I don't want to play around a unit I don't have, especially when I'm 37 life and other people have Rumble, because everyone's going scrap this game. Like, he is contested heavily, so hitting units is going to be a little rough. I probably would have put Gangplank in the backline again, because, yeah, Ziggs in front, just sack Ziggs. Is he actually going to be doing anything? Ziggs, yeah, I mean, he did okay, but I'd rather have Gangplank in the back. I think he would actually do a lot more. So I think that's one thing to fix up there, especially with that red buff on him. You don't want him on the edge either. If you were to put him in the front, like put him in the middle or something so he lives a little longer. I think he's a little too exposed. But yeah, sack 2 rounds, level up 5-5. I mean, we have to get a Rumble at some point, right? Because we rolled so much gold. It's just a law of TFT. But the thing is, we're facing other scrap players like every single round, so it's going to be tough. This person's got Corky 1, so hopefully we're able to win this one. They're not going to get knocked out yet, though. But wait, are we going to lose this? No way we lose this. Is it because their Gangplank's in the back and ours isn't? Honestly, it might be the case. I don't want to be that guy, and there's no way to prove which one would have been better. But I gotta think that in the back line, it would be better. What do we even want here? Edge of Night, Gangplank, maybe? Sure. How bad can that be? Probably decent. I think maybe I would have done Shojin and then backline the Gangplank. But level up here, I'd probably buy the Savika. Maybe just randomly hit Savika too. Oh no, they did one extra level up. Buy the other Savika. Come on, you had Savika pair. Oh my god. We had plenty of time to do this roll down too. That's why I'm disappointed. Oh my god. They're just holding Savikas to increase the chance for Rumble, but you got to play around what you hit, and we have pretty good Savika items. Like, we got the Edge of Night, right? Like, am I crazy? Like, it's not bad. Okay. Yeah, this game's doomed, so to speak. But wow, this other Twitch player got Sniper Emblem and Experiment Emblem, and not from one of the augments. That is luck if I've ever seen it. They also have a Jace too, because they played around the legendaries they hit. And this game is going to be a 6. So, okay, the big takeaway is just like, don't hard force this hard. I mean, at the start of the game, we had 2-star Zyra, 2-star Lux, so it's like, probably should have went some AP angle. After that, we had IE and a Rage Blade for Twitch, and 2 Twitches in the shop with a Mundo on board, so it's like, if there's a time to play Twitch, that is the time. But if you're truly, truly hard forcing, like, I don't know, maybe we should have scouted a little bit more, like, because other people were going for Corky, right? There are at least 2 other Corky players. And then I personally would have protected my Gangplank a little more. I think with like full damage items, he was a little too exposed on like the top right edge. Like, too many units are going to be attacking him. You want like a more tank oriented unit at that part of your board. If you were to frontline him, like, I'd backline him, but if I were to frontline him, I would protect him a little more. I also didn't like the selling of the Gangplank. I know you hit on the roll down anyways, but there are chances you don't. And also, like, you have item removers, so we might as well use them as a resource instead of just like holding them on our bench. Like, there wasn't really any use for like saving them that hard, right? So overall, obviously, like, don't hard force this hard, but if you do, at least play the comp like a little bit better. Because normally the one tricks, they do like everything perfect, and that's why they get away with playing like imperfectly by forcing, right? So probably gotta get more reps on the comp, and then I think you'll be good to go. or just play flex, or at least a little more flexibly. Maybe play like 3 comps instead of just purely only 1. But interesting video overall. Let me know what everyone thought. What was your favorite game that you saw? Which one was the most instructive? And which rank are you trying to hit as well? This one's going to be the silver to diamond version. I think that's like a pretty good range. Some mistakes I saw are shared between the silver to emerald players, and then like players did get a lot better come diamond and master. I will say, like, I think I was most impressed with the diamond game. I think that was the game that I think that person's going to climb the most out of all the players I looked at. But it is always kind of interesting to see the differences between each and every rank. But that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time.